Good morning, guys. It is Friday. A lot of stuff is going on over the last like 20 or 30 minutes. The first thing that we had going on just now is a shipping or a tanker aircraft was shot down in Iraq, and I believe Iran is taking credit for it. That's the first thing. President speaking as well. But on other good news, Indian government official says oil tanker moved out from the Strait of Hormuz. So did they get a tanker through? Maybe that's some optimism here. This is after the president said on escorts in the Strait of Hormuz, said they would do it if they needed to, or said that we would do it if we needed to. But yeah, Indian government official says an oil tanker was moved out from the east of the Hormuz Strait. The president just spoke. And he said on Iran, we're going to be hitting them very hard. And so over the next week, he says. And so what we got here in markets, if you just want to take a look at this market reaction here, this is what happened. Indian tanker got through, oil prices fell. So here's oil on the left side here. Indian tanker got through, oil prices fell. Then the president started speaking, and he said that they're going to get hit hard over the next week, and oil popped right back up. And so now oil is at around $95 a barrel for WTI crude. Trump said, hopefully things are going to go very well. We would do it if we needed to regarding escorts in the Strait of Hormuz. And markets are still kind of reacting to this here. He said, we're going to see what happens. But again, he said, we're going to be hitting them very hard over the next week on Iran. So yeah, so we did the news about the aircraft going down. There's kind of a disputed here. So U.S. officials are saying that a KC-135 tanker aircraft crashed in western Iraq during a 2-aircraft refueling operation, but Iran-backed militias claim they shot it down. The U.S. has not confirmed this yet, but that's basically what we're going on right now. So a tanker aircraft did crash. A U.S. tanker aircraft did crash, but it's disputed. Casualties are unconfirmed. But what I heard is that all of them, unfortunately, did not make it on that aircraft. So that news is probably moving things as well. You can look at the Nasdaq here. Nasdaq at 24.6s. But yesterday we did have a red day in markets. We did have a red day on Thursday. We're slightly green on the day, but basically flat. And we are heading into GDP and PCE inflation data at 8:30 today, guys. So we have GDP data, we have PCE inflation data at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. And then at 10 a.m. we have the Jolts job opening report. So we got some reports today as well with everything going on. And we also have the EU commissioner speaking right now. I don't think he's saying much. Let's see. NATO spokesperson says NATO remains vigilant and stands firm in its defense of all allies. Says NATO on Friday again successfully intercepted a missile heading to Turkey. Says NATO on... Oof. Yeah. Yeah, that's the news we're getting here. Yeah, yesterday was bloody in markets, guys. Bloody day yesterday. Even the Nasdaq is down pretty significantly today. I mean, it wasn't... I mean, on a percentage basis here, yesterday, I mean, I'm looking at a chart on, like, the Nasdaq here. The Nasdaq was red on a percentage basis for sure. It closed the previous day at 607s, roughly, right around 607s. It ended the day at 597. So, percentage-wise, that was a 1.6% drop. So, is it bad? Yes. I don't think the market's really used to 1 to 2% drops anymore. And so, but yeah, 1.6, under 2% drop. It's not the worst it could be. It's not small, but it's not like it's the craziest red day ever either. As this conflict with Iran trickles on. Yeah, Bitcoin, despite all this stuff, if we take a look at Bitcoin here today, Bitcoin up to 72,000 right now. Look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin up to 72,000. What's up, Check, PP, Ava, C, Melissa, Day, Pew, Brian, Ava, Kier, Mama Pawn, K, Digital, Game, Yee, Big Slum, VA, Kato, Pawn, another Eva, Pew Pew. What's up, guys? Good morning. Good morning. BT, Tantrum, Nick. What's up, guys? Good morning. Our market's preparing for a mega crash. What do you guys think? I don't know here. I don't know. I don't know what markets are waiting for. We'll have to wait and see what the day shows. Again, we got a lot of data on deck today. A lot of data on deck. Bitcoin all the way back up, though. So Bitcoin doing okay despite everything else. But we do have a lot of data today. We have GDP data 8:30, PCE inflation data 8:30, Jolts job report at 10 a.m. If we take a look at the calendar today for economic reports here, this is Market Watch's calendar. But we have a whole string of data here, really. GDP first revision quarter 4 expected at 1.5%. Personal income data 0.5% expected. PCE inflation coming out. Durable good orders coming out. Jolts job openings coming out at 10. Michigan consumer sentiment data at 10 as well. And this is heading into next week where we have NVIDIA's GTC event. We have the FOMC meeting. We have PPI inflation data and more next week as well. So we got the Fed meeting, NVIDIA GTC, PPI inflation, Empire State Manufacturing, and more next week. So we'll see what that looks like. And let's talk about the Strait of Hormuz really quick here. So a lot of people are wondering, hey, why can't we just take over the Strait of Hormuz? There's a lot that it has to do with here. One of the main things is just the geographic characteristics of this strait. So here's the Strait of Hormuz right here. The problem, let's take a look at it. The problem with this strait here. So here's the Strait of Hormuz. The problem with this strait is that it gets so thin right around here. You know, and also understand the geographic location of Iran relative to the strait. Like it's right next to it, of course. And so, you know, when they fire things at tankers, they call it the kill zone because it's so compact, so consolidated there that usually only 1 or 2 oil tankers can get through at a time just because it's so thin, right? So let me get this out the way. Usually 1 or 2 tankers can only get through at a time. So you got one going this way and you got one going this way potentially. And so that makes them really easy targets, really easy targets. They're also mining this whole thing, right? They're mining this area. And so, and it's right next to them. And so it's not as easy to just go through and take it over as people expect it to be sometimes. Super thin right in this area. And thin is relative, right? It's still big. Don't get me wrong. But oil tankers are big as well. They're really expensive. And the real reason that we're not really seeing anything is that insurance, which is a vital aspect of this, they're not really wanting to cover it. They're not wanting that risk. And so sending a bunch of non-insured vessels across or super high insurance vessels is just not going to be as profitable, if that makes sense. Yeah, Bitcoin up. If we take a look at yields this morning, yields are sitting at 4.25%, elevated over the last few weeks for sure. Here's a month chart on yields. You can see how much they're up since this conflict started. So just to put this into perspective, in yields and interest rates follow each other. But this conflict started right here. That's when this conflict started. Look at the increase of yields. And inflation data wasn't really super hot earlier in the week as well. But just this conflict is boosting yields to a big extent. You know, we were under 4% in March. When March started, we're now at over 4.25% for yields. So yields are spiking on this as well. Yeah, it's 20 to 30 miles wide. I see somebody say it. I think it's 30 miles. It's 20 to 30, which is not small necessarily when you think about, you know, having to defend it, and you know, it's not easy. Look at the Nasdaq though. The Nasdaq is starting to push up, and oil is starting to come down here. In other news today, again, we got PCE inflation, Q4 GDP as well. So the Bureau of Economic Analysis at 8:30 drops the Q4 GDP report, which, you know, they also dropped the personal income and outlays for January, which is PCE inflation. But yeah, crypto is up big today. Brent is holding around $100 a barrel here. Let me see where Brent crude is. Brent crude is right at $100. So if we look at Brent crude here, right at $100 a barrel for Brent crude. There's not really a futures contract I can look at Brent with, but Brent crude slightly over $100 a barrel here. So again, oil has ripped over the last week to one of its most volatile. It's been one of the most volatile weeks for oil, and it's ripped to over 100 for Brent crude. WTI crude mid 90s still. Right at 94s right now, but it's going up and down. Again, we had news that an Indian tanker potentially got through the Strait of Hormuz. The Indian government officials say the oil tanker Jag Prakash moved out from the east of the Strait of Hormuz. So it's looking like they got through, which is causing some optimism maybe in the price of oil dipping down on this news. But then the president coming out saying that Iran is going to get hit hard over the next week could be the reason this jump up here happened. We also had news earlier that Dan Hodges, reporter, said, quote, "This is a significant moment. Government source confirms to me the U.S. have started conducting strike missions on Iran from UK bases." Yeah, dollar index. If we take a look at the Dixie today here, guys, here's the dollar index. Over 100 right now on the Dixie. Dollar index over 100. You know, we didn't really have a main driver for the Dixie, but strength in crude, Brent again over $100. You know, a lot of reasons for the dollar index to push. We also had the U.S. issuing a new Russia-related general license permitting the sale of Russian crude oil. Only applies to oil in transit. Don't worry, Bitcoin will be going down over the next week. 4-year cycle is still intact. That's possible. I hope so. I hope so. Is this a bull trap, Jono? Hey, we'll see, man. We'll see. Do you think the data drop at 8:30 will be good or bad? I really don't know. This data, I think, is a little up in the air, to be honest here. I really don't know. This data could be up in the air. Again, I don't know. You know. If I switch to this, does it, like, if I switch to the full screen, does the comments go through? I don't think so. Bear trap. No. How you guys doing today? You guys red or green? Did you guys make money yesterday? Yesterday was a red day. We can take a look at it. It was like 1.6% down. Here's the S&P 500. Let's take a look at the S&P. S&P had a red day as well. We already did the NASDAQ. NASDAQ was down about 1.6% yesterday. The S&P, let's look at the percentages here. So here's the SPY. I'm just going to look at the SPY since it is the S&P 500. SPY, I'm just going to go relative to where it opened here. The SPY wasn't that bad of a red day. If we go from the highs in pre-market, or even, let's go for the market open. From the market open to yesterday's close, we, see, where did we close yesterday? What was it, 666? So, I mean, the S&P was only down 0.75% yesterday. So it wasn't like a big brutal day. We are kind of swinging back and forth here, but S&P only down 0.75% yesterday. It's relative to the opening bell, is what I should say. Yeah, I don't know what the numbers are going to be. I went for a walk today. I really have no idea. Any recommendation on how not to lose your eval when only there's $350 left? Trade small, bro. Scale down your size with only that much left. Take small base hits. All right, so the president's still speaking. He said Putin might be helping Iran, quote, a little bit, end quote. Putin probably thinks we're helping Ukraine, end quote. U.S. President Donald Trump. Where is he speaking at right now? Let me see if it's on Truth Social or where. I don't think so. Yeah, it's not on Truth. Do you feel like a correction is pending on the SPY or Q? I think it's possible. It just depends on what happens with this conflict, to be honest. It depends on what happens. If this thing gets worse and yields continue to spike and the dollar continues to spike and oil continues to spike, you know, we might see the NASDAQ continue to dip. We might see the S&P continue to dip. It just depends on escalation in this conflict. Is what is influencing things right now. What inflation looks like next month, escalation in this conflict and how that goes, whether it gets worse. If oil continues to spike and inflation continues to be a problem, it's, you know, we might see rate hikes this year. If oil stays high, inflation gets worse. I don't know if we're going to see rate hikes, but it's possible with the conflict going on now. Costa says increased economic pressure on Russia decisive for peace. This is EU's Costa says U.S. lifting sanctions on Russia oil is concerning. Just buy the oil spike? Is it time to buy the oil spike? Let's do a poll here. Is it time to buy oil? Is it time to buy oil or is it overextended? That is going to be the question on the poll right now. The poll is now live. Is it time to buy oil or is it overextended? 70% so far say it's overextended here. We'll see if that switches. The real question is, how long does this conflict last? If this conflict gets dragged on much longer than anticipated, then oil might continue to rise. Iran is using oil as a major strategic aspect of this. You know, they say they're going to try to drive prices of oil to $200 a barrel. And so if they are correct, the Strait of Hormuz stays closed. We're unable to escort tankers through within the next month or two, and this conflict drags on, then oil could continue to spike here if we take a look at it. Oil right now sitting at $94 a barrel for WTI crude, but again, Brent crude, which is the worldwide standard of oil, is up to over $100 or around $100 a barrel right now. So yeah, but their entire economy is around oil, so they have to let it through eventually. No, 100%. I mean, they, you know, they need that business as well. They need that business as well. But again, when we look at the Strait of Hormuz here, the real problem is that relative to everything else, like look how wide that is. This is about 20 to 30 miles right here. 20 to 30 miles. And so it is not very large, and oil tankers are big. And so really, in normal flow, we'd have one ship through that way, one ship going that way in normal flow, right? And so it's really easy for Iran to lock this area down. It's really easy to lock it down. And so, and again, here's Iran right here. So they are right next to this. They're right next to this. So it's very thin, very easy for them to, you know, defend. And even some of their boats are small. You know, we have a lot of, you know, obviously we have the largest navy in the world, but it's not as easy as you think to get stuff through. Yeah, 80% of oil is not in Hormuz, but don't underestimate how important 20% is. 20% may seem small. It's not. You know, when we're talking about world oil supply, that is a ton of oil. You know, like imagine, here's an example. Imagine inflation spikes 20%. You know? Imagine inflation goes up 20%. Chaos. You know, that's chaos. And so it's not small. 20% of the world oil is not small. It will drive prices. It will influence things negatively. And maybe we get baked into it eventually. That's possible, but all right, so U.S. Trade Representative Greer apparently is speaking. He just said, U.S. Trade Representative Greer said, we want to ensure rare earths from China. Again, he says he wants to ensure continued stability with the U.S.-China relationship. He's on CNBC right now. U.S. Trade Representative Greer says he wants continued stability with U.S.-China relations. Let me get a timer up here today, guys. Let me throw a timer up here. And yeah, let's see what oil does here. Oil's starting to fall down some here. Is the NASDAQ rising? Yeah, NASDAQ's rising. NASDAQ's technically green this morning. Here's the previous closing price right here. 24,560s. It's also right around the 200 exponential. And so if we do get a dip to this area, I might buy this. The IAEA chief Grossi says they are trying to arrange a new nuclear deal between the U.S. and Iran, according to TASS. So maybe this could help ease some worries. But, you know, we'll see. Yeah, so IAEA chief Grossi says that they're trying to arrange a new deal with the U.S. and Iran, according to TASS. So, when NASDAQ is green on the day, technically. The SPY or the S&P, we could look at the E-mini S&P today. S&P is still green. I'm looking at this level right here, though. On both of these charts, I am looking at 66.85 roughly, right around the 200 exponential, right around the volume weighted average price, right around the previous closing price. So the red to green level on this chart on both the S&P and the NASDAQ are pretty close to each other here. And so we're going to look at these levels. We got this isolated high up there at 6,700. We got this isolated low down here at 66.40 here. So, you know, we're going to look at this low down here. We're going to look at this high up here. And, we're going to look at this centralized potential support or resistance level right here at 66.80s or so, right around the 200 exponential VWAP and previous closing price, all consolidated to the same spot. We have 50 minutes before GDP and PCE data goes live, guys. 50 minutes. Let me get my timer up, but we do have 50 minutes. Yeah, I'm going to go back to the poll in a second. Let me get my timer up here. I got you guys. We'll go back to the poll. All right, guys. So again, we have just about 49 minutes left. Just about 49 minutes left until this data release here. Just about 49 minutes left. There we go. We got the timer in the corner now. We got the timer in the corner. All right. So U.S. Trade Representative Greer says the Iran war is a matter of weeks and the effect will be short-lived. Maybe I've been... Did I say lived? I think I'm listening to Jerome Powell too much. Short-lived. We're looking for a pullback on the S&P 500 here, though. Buy the fear. Is there a reason crypto started running last night? There's probably one. We had CPI come in basically flat. We have the Fed meeting next week. Market debating on whether higher energy extends the higher for longer rate story in markets. But Bitcoin is bullish calls for continued run towards six figures. Shorting is always risky and only good if you're in a bear market. Doesn't happen often. Yeah, again, I always try to... The way I always explain it is the longer you hold a short position, the less likely you are to make money. If you're talking about blue chips, indices, you know, S&P, NASDAQ, the longer you hold it, the less likely you are to make money in it. Generally. Again, every time I say generally, somebody's like, well, nuh-uh, bro. What about this super isolated period of time between, you know, here and here? What happened there? And it's like, yeah, but generally, the longer you hold it, the worse it is. The longer you hold a long position in the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, you know, indices, blue chips, the more likely you are to make money over time. And when I say over time, I'm talking years and years. And it's one of the reasons a lot of people naturally gravitate towards the long side in things. It's because, you know, if you hold a short too long, if you're talking 10 or 20 years, you're almost certain to lose money. If we're talking about the SPY or the S&P or the NASDAQ. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand. They keep doubling down on shorts until markets just go up. And, yeah. GDP this morning is only... Yeah, it's the first revision is what it is. So the way GDP works is that you get 3 readings quarterly. You get an initial estimate, a first revision, and then the final revision of the final one, basically. And so the initial estimate's usually the most volatility driving one. But, you know, they could revise it up or down. Last time we did show up for GDP, what was it like? It was low last time. It was like 1.4%. Yeah, 1.4% last time for quarter 4 GDP. They're expecting 1.5, slight upward revision to it today. Yeah, Adobe did have some news this morning, I think, here on the downside. Look at Adobe. I think bad earnings for Adobe. I'm not going to say I told you so, guys. I'm not going to say it. But I definitely told all of you guys. Yeah, I mean, Adobe down. Not a shock, you know, but Adobe's down a big amount here. That's why they're called shorts. Yeah, so it did a good earnings beat. CEO announced he's stepping down and hit sentiment on leadership, AI, error execution. They did post record quarter 1 revenue of about $6.4 billion, which is up 12% year over year, and good subscription growth. CEO transition after 18 years, the CEO is stepping down. They haven't named a successor yet. But uncertainty on AI competition, growth, durability, and transition timing is causing a big pullback in Adobe. It's down from 270 down to 250, basically 240s. So, yeah, Adobe down on negative reaction to CEO stepping down, although it did have good earnings. Oil still dipping down to 93.60s a barrel for WTI crude here, 93.60s a barrel. U.S. Trade Representative Greer is still speaking. He said, quote, if we find that countries have been involved in unfair trading practices, we can quantify that harm to our commerce and then try to resolve that issue. Interest payments part of the course on tariff refunds. He said the war will last a matter of weeks and the effects are short-lived. The IAEA chief Grossi said he hopes to resume talks aimed at reaching long-term solutions regarding the nuclear program in Iran. Trade Representative Greer said the Iran conflict doesn't so much affect the U.S.-China economic relationship. He said, we want to make sure that we continue to get rare earths we need for our manufacturing bases. And somehow I'm green in my portfolio. Slightly green in a bunch of different stuff, but slightly green. Yeah, he never pushed back against the AI narrative replacing AI. AI replacing AI. Yeah, I mean, the problem with Adobe is simple. And this is something that I've been talking about, I think, for years with Adobe. The risks are obvious, which is that people use Adobe to create digital content. AI is going to replace that need to a certain extent, at the very least. This is why we've seen Adobe come down. Now, you know, Photoshop, obviously, I haven't used Photoshop in years, guys. You know why? Because I have not needed to since AI is here. I have not needed to use Photoshop since AI is here. And over the past 2 years, it's getting better and better and better and better. And so, you know, now Photoshop is not the biggest aspect of their business, but it's obviously going to be losing some. Yeah, Adobe's biggest drivers are digital media. 75% of revenue, Creative Cloud like Photoshop, you know, and others. But their Creative Cloud, which is going to be replaced to a certain extent by AI, obviously. Now, they're getting involved with AI as well, so it's not going to be a complete replacement. But obviously, they're going to lose chunks, I think, clearly, for Adobe. And the CEO didn't really fight against that narrative, so Adobe, again, at 250s, even though it posted kind of good earnings here. So that's kind of the story there. Yeah, I mean, it's probably a good thing you got out of that industry as well, digital. I mean, I'm on the other end where I used to have to pay people to create things. I know how to use Photoshop, though. But again, I haven't needed to use it in years. Because AI does it now. You just don't need it. I'm making more off the art fees than I was before AI, to be honest. Keep using it, please. Maybe. But I think, alright, so Hegsath is about to start speaking, apparently. The U.S. Secretary of War, Hegsath, is about to start speaking in a Pentagon briefing here again this morning. They're doing this every day now for Hegsath. So we have 40 minutes left until PCE and GDP data go live. 40 minutes. We have Jolts job openings at 10 a.m. today, along with Michigan consumer sentiment as well here. But yeah, Netflix is spending up to $600 million to buy an AI startup as well. So we're seeing streaming giants get into AI even more, which is probably the right move. Netflix down to $94 a share here. The president also claimed in a G7 call that Iran is, quote, about to surrender. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we'll see. But yeah, Adobe CEO stepping down. What's your predictions for today's earnings? I mean, it's Friday, brother. None of the earnings are really big today. They're all pretty small. What earnings are you talking about? You notice a cycle with Netflix going down in spring and summer and increasing in the fall and winter. Well, I'm sure in Netflix's mind, people are out doing stuff during the summer. They're watching less TV. During the winter, it's cold and they're stuck at home, and so they maybe produce more content and maybe get more numbers in the winter. This is just a pure speculation. I don't really know what the seasonal patterns are, but I'm assuming that's what they are, no? Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. I could certainly be wrong here, but I would assume that's the pattern. People stuck at home during the winter, cold, watching more movies, watching more Netflix. If so, that's probably why the cycle is what it is. Ulta earnings were yesterday, not today. Yeah, Ulta numbers were yesterday, no? Yeah, oil dipping down here, guys. So look at oil. Oil at 93.60s here, still pushing down. It's been moving down really. But again, Hegsath is about to start speaking. So Hegsath is about to start speaking here. I will monitor what he's saying in the background. But Hegsath is about to start speaking. Trade rep Greer said, our expectation is that the effects of the Iran war will be short-lived. If we find... hold on, let me see. I'm trying to find Hegsath here. Yeah. They haven't started speaking yet, but I'll cover it when they do. The question is he going to pump the price of oil during the speech here? Like, you see oil dipping right now ahead of Hegsath's words. You know, which way will oil go based off of Hegsath today, guys? Because look at the price of oil dip ahead of this. Yeah, Hegsath is gonna start speaking soon. I'm waiting for it here, but Hegsath will be speaking soon here, guys. Hey, what's up, Steve? What's up, my guy? Good morning. Yeah, here's Brent crude. So Brent crude, the worldwide standard of oil, it did fall back under $100 a barrel. So Brent crude has fallen down under 100. What's up, Steve? Good morning. Oil going down. Yes, sir, it is. But if Hegsath starts speaking, they haven't started yet. Yeah, Hegsath has not started speaking yet. Buy or sell today. Looking at our poll, I asked people, is it time to buy oil? 39% says it's time to buy. 61% thinks oil is overextended. It depends on the conflict. A lot of unknowns here regarding the price of oil. Oil could certainly keep rising if the conflict gets worse and worse. And so, but we're about 60-40, maybe a little bit over 60-40 in terms of, is it overextended? In terms of, oil is overextended right now versus it's time to buy on our poll so far. But we do have PCE and GDP data at 8:30 going live, so we'll see what that looks like as well here today. $100 is huge resistance. That might be true, Joshua. I don't know if... like, $100 could be resistance. Psychological resistance. Just in general, like, leaders want oil to stay under $100 is probably why that dynamic here is. People naturally pivot to a big whole dollar number like 100 to, you know, have kind of like a line in the sand on the upside for oil. But I also think right now it just depends on the conflict. To be honest, like, technicals matter short term, like really short term, as long as nobody's saying anything about the conflict. But if people are saying things about the conflict, and that is, if news is coming out regarding this conflict escalating, as an example, that is going to push oil up regardless of, you know, technical resistance levels. So yeah, let's see what Hegsath says. What if it is short-lived and it's no longer an issue in about a month? Market would be mooning, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, that's probably true. If things get settled out, I don't know how it would happen so fast. But, you know, say the Strait of Hormuz gets opened back up and, you know, the conflict is basically over and the attacks stop and, you know, US and Iran work out some type of deal. Yeah, I mean, we could see the NASDAQ rip back to highs. We could see oil slump back down to 60s or, you know, 70s or 55, 60, 70. but not. I don't think oil's going to go back down that low. Let me just clarify. I think even if things settle in that regard, oil's going to stay more elevated than it was prior to this conflict, most likely, just based off of how long it's going to take to get things back to normal, even if the conflict is resolved. So there's going to be a lagging few months or longer, really, while oil is still probably going to stay elevated relative to normal from everything going on, if that makes sense. So we're looking at oil. Here's the NASDAQ, or the QQQ today. We'll look at the Q. Q is still pushing. It's over 600. So the NASDAQ's still moving up today. But we are waiting on Hegsath. Yeah, we had, I can't remember who it was, but they called this the worst oil disruption in history. That's what they called this. You know. But the NASDAQ's up. NASDAQ's up. U.S. trade rep did say our expectation is that any effect of this conflict will be short-lived, he thinks. Yeah, we had news that a couple releases here that we'll talk about. U.S. officials say a KC-135 tanker crashed in western Iraq, but it's kind of disputed. So Iraq and Iranian military are saying, or are claiming, that they did it, but the U.S. has not confirmed that. Which I don't think they would, even if it did happen, you know. Yeah, so I see somebody talking about how private credit here. Yeah, it's under pressure. Valuations are getting cut. Redemptions are going up. Wells Fargo and other banks are shown to have big exposure to the space. Private credit funds are hitting redemption limits, only honoring about half or less of requested withdrawals and trapping capital. And some of these big private credit funds like North Haven at Morgan Stanley, Blue Owl, BlackRock vehicles, and more. Managers and others are saying there's reckoning after years of bad underwriting, is essentially what they're blaming it on. Software, venture capital type loans, now threatened by AI disruption and higher rates. Moody's estimates that U.S. banks had nearly $300 billion of private credit exposure as of mid last year. Wells Fargo is the largest at almost $60 billion with just Wells Fargo, ahead of Bank of America at $33.2 billion. So, yeah. Even the Fed and the FOMC members started flagging private credit as vulnerability. So we'll see what that looks like. We'll see if that continues. But private credit is kind of wobbling here. Redemptions are getting bad. And bad loans are surfacing. Wells Fargo being the bank that's the most exposed to that dynamic here. All right, guys. So 30 minutes left here, chat. 30 minutes. Yeah, we got PCE data. We have GDP data today. We have Jolts job openings report today. And yields are up. Despite all this stuff, yields are high. Almost at 2.6%. Look at 10-year treasury yields. And again, I'll show you this chart. Here's a monthly chart. Here's where the conflict started. Here's where yields are now. So one thing this conflict is doing is driving yields higher, driving the dollar index higher. And, yeah. Markets might be getting baked into higher for longer sentiment here with interest rates heading into next week's FOMC meeting. Yeah, Hegsath still hasn't started speaking here. If you look at this, like Hegsath is still just chilling right here. No walkout from him yet. Yeah, the EU Council did agree to position to streamline rules on AI. Yeah, you can't trade a minute before or after the news on Take Profit Trader. If you have Take Profit, use my coupon code BG at Take Profit. We appreciate the love. If you have Lucid, BT, beginner trading on Lucid. Apex, you can use either one, BT or BG. But here we go, guys. PCE inflation data going live in 25 minutes. 25 minutes. Here's a good question for the chat here. Number one, I'm going to do this every day. But where are you guys from? Where are you guys joining us from today? Cheers to everybody this morning. It's now 8 a.m. this morning. Cheers to you guys. Hope you guys are doing good today. It is Friday. I hope you guys are ready for the weekend. But before that, we have PCE data, we have GDP data, and we have the Jolts job opening report after a really weak report last time. Yeah, I'm showing the Netherlands, Toronto, Missouri, Australia, Palm Beach, Florida, New York City, Guam, EU, Germany, Poland, Canada, Minnesota, New Zealand, San Antonio, Orlando. You know what movie? I watched Never Back Down with my son the other day. So cheesy, but it's good. It's good. You gotta love it. England. Hey, what's up, my friend? Miami. What's up, Marco? Finland. 2 o'clock in Finland. Saudi Arabia. Lafayette. Hey, my guy. Thank you. Great food. Great food. I got some friends that live in Lafayette. South Bend. Slovakia, Tel Aviv, Australia. Appreciate the love, guys. Thanks. Love the show, man. Hey, thank you, Gene. Appreciate it, brother. All right, now y'all are just saying stuff here. Houston, Texas. Alberta. Go to Timmy's for me. You know? Donuts. I wish I could eat a donut, man. State of denial. I can respect it, VA. I can respect it. Anyways. Yeah, gold. Let's take a look at gold. NASDAQ is pushing up this morning here. Hegsath still hasn't started speaking, though. Oil's dipping down. It just tapped $93 for WTI. Crude. Brent crude's close to 100, but it's underneath it now. Yeah, here's gold. Gold up to 51s. Gold's still down net, though. Gold was at almost 52s. It did just spike over the last 20 minutes or so. But gold is spiking up some. We'll see if it holds. Hegsath is speaking. I don't think he's speaking yet. Oh, yeah, he is speaking, actually. I'm sorry.
Been so quickly destroyed and made combat ineffective. Devastated. We said it would not be a fair fight, and it has not been.
Let's see what oil is doing.
Press conference on day 2. That was 10 short days ago.
Yeah, Hegsath is speaking right now. I'm watching oil closely as he's speaking here. And I'm going to mute the music for a second just so I can listen to some of this. He said, today as we speak, we fly over the top of Iran and Tehran. As our intelligence gets better and better and more refined. He said Iran has no air defenses. They have no air force. They have no navy. He said their missile volume is down 90% regarding Iran. Oil is spiking up a little bit, though, as Hegsath speaks here. You can see oil moving up. Again, we have PCE and GDP data, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time going live. Midland, Texas. What's up, Devin? Yeah, the NASDAQ is probably the NASDAQ's probably going to be pulling back a little bit as oil spikes on Hegsath's words. Somebody cut off the mic. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're going to put you in timeout for that comment, happy enough. That's kind of a crazy comment, dude. Yeah, so Hegsath is commenting right now. He's basically saying we're doing great. We're doing great is basically what he's saying here. Now, just to go back to this, I see some people saying, hey, why doesn't this happen sooner? Why can't we get this done? Look, here's the Strait of Hormuz, guys. It's not as easy as anybody as they're acting like it is. Here's the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, this area right here is about 20 to 30 miles long. 20 to 30 miles long, and oil tankers are large. And Iran is right here. So it's not that easy to start getting things through here. It's so thin that even during normal operations, it kind of moves like this. One ship goes one side, another ship going the other way goes to the other side, and that's it. But this is where 20% of the world's oil goes through. And it's not as easy to defend. Obviously, we have a much larger military, but it's not as easy as people think it is. And it's been closed now, basically closed now for a week plus. And so, of course, like, hey, why don't we just end this now? It's not that easy, guys. It's really not. Strait of Hormuz is small, but it's still 20 to 30 miles wide. And the real reason this is lasting a long time in terms of getting ships through the Strait of Hormuz is insurance. Insurance doesn't want to cover that. And uninsured ships going through is not an option. And so, tons of oil. Like, ships cost tens of millions of dollars if you include the oil that's on them. 100 million maybe. And it's just not something in which is easy to get done. So U.S. Secretary of War Hegsath says on course to deploy or destroy Iranian military means at a pace not seen before. Iran has no longer the ability to build more defenses. End quote. U.S. Secretary of War Hegsath. Now we're heading into PCE and GDP data in about 20 minutes here, chat. 20 minutes. Seeing red again. Yeah, oil you can see is it bounced up a little bit on these quotes from Hegsath, but it's still down to $93 a barrel here. So here's $93 a barrel. Yeah, if you want to check out Hegsath, here's Reuters right here, guys. But Hegsath is just basically saying we're doing great. We're doing great. Do you think the market will repeat last Friday? I think we have a lot of data today, guys. So I do think we have a lot of data. So remember, chat, we have PCE inflation, GDP data, and a jobs report going live at 10. So at 8:30, we have GDP and PCE at 8:30, and then Jolts job opening report live at 10 a.m. So this is not a small day for economic reports. That's going to influence things heavily here as well. And so it's not a situation in which it's going to be easy to predict what happens based off of not knowing the data yet. So we'll see. We'll see. Again, looking at some of the quotes here. He said, Hegsath says on Iran, we will keep advancing. He said Supreme Leader was wounded, likely disfigured. In a quote, leadership has gone underground, he says. All of their defense companies will be soon destroyed. I'm assuming he meant capabilities, and that the U.S. is decimating the regime. We also had the UAE energy minister say energy supplies in the country are stable and operating normally via state news agencies. So and this is heading into the GDP and PCE report. The NASDAQ is technically green on the day. The NASDAQ dropped about 1.6% yesterday, 1.5%. The S&P was down about 0.75%. And so while yesterday was red, it wasn't like obscenely red. It was red for sure, but it wasn't crazy red. And again, the UAE energy minister says energy supplies in the country are stable and operating normally. Definitely top 3 streamer ever. We appreciate it. How long does this conflict last, chat? How long does it last? Yeah, and remember, guys, we're just covering news here. So, how long will this last? 17 weeks, somebody says. I'm going to go with, I hope it's like 8 weeks or less. We're 2 weeks into it now. I hope it's 8 weeks or less. 5 years. By November. Summer. Till midterms, 4 weeks. Is PCE in 17 minutes? No, it's just in big green letters counting down 17 minutes. Because I think it's just cosmetically good. 420. 3 weeks. Forever. 10 years. 1 month. Years, dude. Friday the 13th, 2 months. US is running out of targets. Yeah, I'm hoping 8 weeks is what I'm guessing here. I'm hoping 8 weeks. And this is me hoping. I think we should all hope it ends soon. Nobody wants this dragged on. Hegsath says on Iran that Trump holds the cards. Trump will decide timing. Today will be the highest volume of US strikes yet. Again, Hegsath just said that today will be the highest volume of US strikes yet. Oil prices are still low on the day, though. They're still down net on the day. And so I think what we're seeing now in regards to the price of oil is we're seeing markets kind of get baked into this. Like, Hegsath has been speaking every day. You know, some of this news that we're getting from him is starting to get, like, markets are getting kind of conditioned into stuff that he says because he's saying it every day now. And so oil is not reacting to it like it did yesterday even, or prior to that. Markets may be getting used to it. Here, we'll put the NASDAQ up here as well, though. Here's the NQ. NQ has gone green on the day, technically, I think. Yeah, NQ's green on the day. Here's the previous close. If we get a dip down here, I'll probably buy this up, but I have to wait for that. Till GTA 6? Before GTA 6? Will this conflict end, or does GTA 6 come out first? Which one? Let me know in chat. What's the date for GTA 6? Is it like November 19th, if I remember correctly? Do you like Oracle long time? I'm in Oracle. I don't know if I necessarily like it long term, to be honest, but I'm in it. Long term for me is like 10 years. There's a lot of variance there, but I don't hate it. You know, here's NVIDIA. Let's take a look at some stocks here today. NVIDIA at 184.50s. For NVIDIA, 184.50s. Today for PCE data, remember, PCE inflation data is coming out, so is GDP data. So, yeah, so we have PCE data, GDP data all going live today, 8:30. Core PCE is the big one for PCE. It's expected at 0.4% today, month over month. Year over year is expected at 3.1% for core. Headline GDP or headline PCE data, expected at 0.3% on the month and 2.9% on the year. But core PCE is the big one here. GDP also expected for quarter 4 first revision. It's expected at 1.4%. Previously, quarter 3 was 4.4%. So we did contract a lot. And U.S. General Kane says U.S. forces are continuing to go after the mine-laying capabilities. That's if GTA comes out in November, like they said it would. They've already pushed it back. It was supposed to come out in May. It will be over by then, John. Remember midterms. Yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you here, Melody. I think you're probably right, but I hope you're right. Is what it is. I hope you're correct. But we'll see. When the war is over, the dollar will come down hard. What's the trade? If you believe that, I'm not saying short the dollar, you know, or, you know, buy bonds. Maybe could be an option. Bitcoin is climbing. Bitcoin is up today, guys. For all the crypto guys, Bitcoin all the way at 72.3s right now. So Bitcoin has fought its way back higher here after, you know, a lot of uncertainty. A lot of people are thinking we're going to start making a push towards 100,000 again. Sorry, I missed it. What's expected? GDP expected at 1.4% quarter over quarter. PCE expected at 3.1% on the year for core and 0.4% for month over month core. Yeah, so CENTCOM continues to attack Iranian efforts that could impact Straits. Iran still has the capability of harming friendly forces in commercial shipping, is what he just said. But markets aren't really reacting to this like they used to here, though. Oil volatility has gone down way overnight. Yeah, it's starting to slow down here. It's starting to slow down. So it is starting to dip some here. Yeah, oil is $100 again. Brent crude, which is if you want to understand the difference, if you hear me talk about Brent crude, let me refresh this, make sure this is accurate. If you hear me talk about Brent crude, this is the global standard of oil versus WTI, West Texas Intermediate oil. Like West Texas Intermediate, the one on the left here, is relevant for the United States, but the worldwide standard, which is what, you know, all the stuff is influencing, is Brent, is this one. It's almost $100 a barrel. It was over $100 for, you know, a little while earlier today. But it's back down to 99s here, and WTI crude is back down to 93.50s here. So here's the SPY right here on the left side. SPY is green on the day though, after red days yesterday. Going back to it, yesterday S&P dropped about 0.75%. The Nasdaq dropped about 1.6% yesterday. So give me your predictions for PCE inflation. We're going to do PCE first. We have 10 minutes left. And again, we're going to do PCE inflation first here. PCE data, does it show up higher for core PCE month over month? It's expected at 0.4% higher month over month for core PCE data. Let me know, higher or lower. Put it up in chat right now. Higher or lower. Actually, you know what? Let's do a poll here. Let's do a poll. Does core PCE month over month show higher or lower than the 0.4% expected? I'm really not the PCE whisperer. I'm the CPI whisperer. Okay? It's not really PCE data that I'm good at. It's CPI. CPI, for whatever reason, I've gotten it right a lot in the past. PCE, I'm not as good at it. I'll give you a prediction, but again, I'm not as good at PCE. You know, people asked me what I thought about the jobs report last week. I thought we'd show up at like 70,000. We showed negative 92K. So the only thing I'm the whisperer of is CPI data. Oil's starting to push back higher here, though. Let's see if it holds. Yeah, I mean, again, General Kane did say that they have the capability of still harming friendly forces and commercial shipping still. All right, guys, so looking at our poll here, 70% of votes already in about a minute show higher CPI, or higher PCE month over month. 30% think lower. Well, core PC is going to move markets more than anything, I think, coming out at 8:30 today. Perhaps the biggest release we have today is the Jolts job report at 10 a.m. 7 minutes left, chat. Or PCE 0.8%. Here we go, guys. We got about 7 minutes left. 7 minutes. Hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed. Catch up to the chat. We appreciate it. Let's see what we get today. Would you guys rather watch the SPY or the NASDAQ during this report? The S&P or the NASDAQ during this report? Which one? I'll look at both, but S&P or NASDAQ today? NASDAQ, S&P, SPY. Yeah, the big inflation report really is going to be next month's CPI. Next month's CPI is going to be for this month, which is the big month. Oil is a relevant part of that here because, again, look, here's a daily chart. The war started. Here's oil on the left side here. Just to show you guys this. The war started here. And look at what oil has done since then. And so the big inflation report that we're going to see is going to be next month's report for March. All right, so I'm seeing it kind of split. The Dow is the best for these times. Yeah. I'll put both up. How about that? We'll put the S&P and the NASDAQ up. Here's the NASDAQ. Here's the S&P. Keep both of those up, and we'll still watch oil here, but we'll see if this market report moves things. 5 minutes left, chat. We are going to put it in sub-only mode here, though, guys. We are putting it in sub-only mode, so announce yourself, show us you're subscribed. We appreciate it. We are in subscriber-only mode now. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Listen, everything we do here is free. We don't sell a course, don't sell a service, don't claim to be experts, don't even claim to be good traders. Give everything to everybody for free. Trade live every day. Cover every major economic and market event that goes on in markets. So subscribe here, guys. You know you want to. Exactly 5 minutes left, chat. Exactly 5 minutes left. And we cover it faster than everybody else, to be honest. So we also have durable goods dropping at 8:30, PCE inflation dropping at 8:30, GDP data dropping at 8:30, personal income and spending dropping at 8:30. Yeah, a lot of stuff going live today in about 4.5 minutes here today, guys. So be ready. Yeah, it's not trash day for me, but if it's your trash day, here's your reminder. It's trash day today for you if it is your day today. If that makes sense. It's not my trash day. Watching from Fort Myers, Florida. You know, I can respect the sailing channel you have there. My dad probably loves this type of stuff. But I get seasick. I want to sail. I watch sometimes I watch the sailing videos online. But I get seasick, dude. You put me on give me the Dramamine. You know, I'm getting seasick. I get seasick on a cruise ship. You know, I know. I guess I can't just have adventures, guys. I can't have it. 3.5 minutes left. 3.5 minutes left. But no, I appreciate you watching the stream. Thanks so much. Here we go, guys. 3 minutes left. Here's a question. Does the market go up or down on this report? Up or down on this report? Bull or bear reaction to this report here, guys. I'm watching this top level up here. On the S&P 500, I'm looking at 66.40. It's the low of the day. It's way down there, though. And then when we zoom out here on this S&P 500 chart, I am watching some of the highs from yesterday, right around 67.10 or so. So 67.50 or 60s up there might be relevant, but we're watching these levels here. We also have the 200 exponential, the volume weighted average price, and the previous closing price right in this range right here. And so on the NASDAQ and the S&P, I'm kind of looking for it. On the NASDAQ, it's a little bit wider. But if we dip down there and fall underneath that, that might influence things. With 2.5 minutes left. All right, so I'm seeing bearish, sell the news, down, up, down. I think most people expect the market to go down on this report, actually, based off of the comments. But we got some bulls up there. It's Friday. After last week, we ain't got no jobs. And today we have PCE and GDP data to do today. Guys, 2 minutes left. 2 minutes left. NASDAQ starting to push up a little bit, though. All right, guys, 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Get ready. S&P move it up. All right, guys, here we go. A minute and a half left exactly here, chat. NASDAQ starting to push up. Where's oil at heading into this report? We have about a minute left. Make sure, guys, listen. Report drops at about a minute and 10 seconds. About a minute and 10 seconds here. Make sure you hit the live button and put it in 2x speed. You'll be real time if you do that, basically. Hit the live button, put it in 2x speed. Let's see what we get. We have 1 minute left. 1 minute left. Yeah, see, most people... All right, guys. 50 seconds. 50 seconds. 40 seconds. Here's oil. Oil at almost 94. So oil's going up some here, but we're going to put the NASDAQ up on the left. NASDAQ on the left, S&P on the right. Here today, guys. Let's zoom in. Let's get ready. Here's the report going live in 30 seconds. 30 seconds. I'm watching this cluster of movement here down here. Again, 200 exponential VWAP. Previous closing price on both of these charts is below us. 20 seconds. 20 seconds. Here we go. Core PCE expected at 0.4% month over month. Year over year expected at 3.1% in 3, 2, 1. And here's the report. Okay, guys, so durable goods showed up at 0.4% for core durable goods, 0% for headline. PCE inflation showed up as expected for both core month over month and year over year, 3.1% on the year, 0.4% on the month. GDP for quarter four showed up at 0.7%, guys. Quarter four GDP revised down to 0.7 versus 1.4. 0.7 GDP for quarter four revised down from 1.4% previously. Personal income month over month at 0.4%. Yeah, so again, GDP data showed up noticeably weaker than expected. PCE inflation data showed up flat for headline. Durable goods showed up at negative 1.4 versus the expectation of 0.8. This is popping markets up here. But again, PCE was flat. Core PCE 0.4% versus 0.4% expected. 3.1% on the year for core PCE. Headline PCE showed up at 0.3% as expected. A little bit lower year over year for headline PCE at 2.8%. But GDP data for quarter four, 0.7%, guys. 0.7% GDP for quarter four. Much weaker than expected. And so far, the NASDAQ has gone up on this report here. So far, the NASDAQ has gone up. But again, quarter 4 GDP 0.7 versus 1.4%. Previous was what? It was much higher than this previously. It was, yeah, it was much higher than this previously. It was, previously it was 4.4%. Today it showed up at 0.7% for the first revision of quarter 4 GDP data. PCE was flat basically everywhere except for headline year over year, showing up 0.1% lower than expected, but it was flat versus expectations, flat versus previous numbers as well, really, for most of it. So again, PCE inflation flat today, guys, is the story here. We'll put this up on screen. Well, core PCE 0.4% versus expected 0.4%, 3.1% on the year for core versus expected 3.1%. The big shocker, I think, in this report is GDP data showing up at 0.7% for quarter 4. So noticeably weaker than last time, noticeably weaker than expected, about half of what was expected, about 50% lower than what was expected today. I'm sure yields on this report are probably going to be falling down some, at least a little bit here, although I do think the Iran conflict is going to be causing more influence. But yeah, yields, if we take a look at it on this report, yields and interest rate sentiment follow each other. So if interest rate sentiment is lower, yields are going to drop, right? And look at yields going down on this probably weak GDP report. 0.7% GDP versus 1.4% expected. It's literally 50% less than expected here. So yields are down. The NASDAQ did rip up towards highs of the day, though. So the NASDAQ and S&P are pushing a little bit higher on this report. But yeah, we have Jolts job opening report going live soon as well here. But yeah, that's what we got today, guys. GDP data. 0.7%, which is the shocker, I think. Yeah. Yeah, GDP quarter over quarter, 0.7% here. Look, I'll put this data up on screen right here. Look, there it is. 0.7% for GDP. Not good here, guys. Not good. Now, with this said, are you optimistic in the market over the next month? Stagflation? Yeah, I mean, you could say stagflation. Although inflation wasn't crazy high, 3.1% core PCE inflation, 0.4% on the month for core PCE inflation. So PCE was flat, basically, inflation. This is the Fed's preferred inflation metric is PCE data. Now, we're going to dig deeper into this report. But yeah, I mean, so far, PCE was basically flat. You know. So PCE flat, not the biggest shocker there with everything going on right now. But yeah, PCE data flat today. NASDAQ went up and actually net green from this report. Durable goods showed up at a negative 1.4% as well versus 0.8% expected. Consumer spending quarter over quarter showed up at 2% versus expected 2.4% as well. But yeah. Now, the question is, how much does this have to do with the government shutdown in terms of GDP showing up so low? How much does this have to do with the government shutdown? I think it's certainly a factor here. And again, you can kind of see yields continue to fall down after this report, guys. Yields continue to fall after this report, showing weaker GDP than expected here at 50% less than the 1.4% expected. So again, personal income rose 113.8 billion in January. Disposable personal income increased 219 billion, 220 billion basically. PCE increased 81 billion. Private wages and salaries rose 67 billion. Again, core PCE increased 3.1%, which was what was expected. And yeah, the next big report here to dig into, guys, is going to be the Jolts job report going live. Yeah, GDP. Revised down 50% for quarter 4 GDP. Is the story, I think. I don't know if weaker GDP is necessarily good, and sometimes the first move on this stuff is the wrong move here. So sometimes the first move is the wrong move. Yeah. Also, guys, do me a favor. If you want to help support the channel, check out Lucid. Most day traders lose money. If you fund your own account thousands of dollars, you're probably going to lose it trying to day trade. Most day traders lose. You're also restricted by the PDT rule if you try to do it in stocks. Instead, try lucid trading. Most day traders lose, and they give you a demo. They test your skill with the demo first. Less than $100 to take this challenge. If you pass the test, they fund you between $25K up to $150,000 in funding. 90% split. If you fail, you only lose the challenge fee. It gives you some risk, but not the full extent of risk that you would take funding your own account thousands of dollars and probably losing it. Lucid also has a direct to funding option here, guys. So Lucid actually has a direct to funded option here. If you check it out, they've paid over $60 million to traders. They are an affiliate of mine. I am biased because I get paid by them, but you can go direct to funded. If you use my coupon code BT at checkout, you can get a direct to funded for only $238. I think it's 50% off for new users as well. But check them out right here, guys. I'll put this link up. A great way to help support the channel. And yeah, we'll put this link up, pin it to the top of the chat. Again, I get paid by them, so I'm biased, but a great way to help support our free content. Everything we do here is free. I don't sell a course, sell a service myself, claim to be good, claim to be experts. We just cover free data for you as soon as it drops. There's the link right there if you want to check it out. We'll pin it to the top. Let's take a look at oil here now, guys. Oil. Back up to 94s here. The NASDAQ is starting to come down. I need a dip down here, though. The big report I think we're going to get today, outside of these reports that we just got, is Jolts. We have the Jolts job report at 10 a.m. today, guys. We do have Jolts live at 10 o'clock today. So yeah, one-time eval fee, genuinely useful. I can't recommend day trading, but I can't look. Most day traders lose money. Again, when I got started in penny stocks. I saw the Big Short. I was young and dumb. And I saw the Big Short, was like, hey, there's money there. I was a poker player prior to that. I like chess too, but I was a poker player mostly. And so I was like, hey, I can kind of do the same thing in markets. Let me go try. Penny stock gurus got me. They were like, you know what? You could be a millionaire. Look at this Lamborghini here, guys. Be rich. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be rich. And lost thousands of dollars in like a couple weeks, which is what happens to most people. One of the things that happened from it, though, is that I understood risk afterwards. I understood how much you could lose and how quickly you could lose it. And so, taught me risk management for sure. I think it's a pretty common story for most people. I mean, I think most people go through some common experience of this. So, if Jolts comes in bad, market sells off, possibly. Here's oil. Yeah, so if Jolts comes in bad, that's definitely possible. Jolts job numbers have been weak lately, guys. Yeah, quarter 4 GDP revised down to just 0.7% growth. Hegsath says president can decide how long he'd like to pursue U.S. objectives. He said no clear evidence that Iran has placed mines. Yeah, the Jolts job report is going to be at 10 a.m. today, guys. 10 a.m. today. Let's see what we get today, chat. When looking at Adobe, I'm trying to think of one service they offer that can't get replaced by AI. It's not easy. No, 100%. And I've been talking about Adobe for like a year now, based off of I think it's just base logic here, just normal logic. AI is going to replace Photoshop users. The need for Photoshop experts is going to get, I'm not going to say completely replaced by AI, but by a large margin, unfortunately, for Photoshop. A lot of Adobe's other products are probably going to lose business to AI as well. The question is, has this been baked in already? Now, Adobe had good numbers. Their CEO transition is what's scaring people. But here's a weekly chart on Adobe. Since 2021, Adobe has fallen from $700 a share to under $300. That's over 50% down since 2021 and AI started taking their business. And so the question is it down enough to justify buying it? And I'm not really sure here. I think it could work, but it also could continue falling down if AI continues to get better, which I think is at least somewhat justified in terms of the trends. But hey, we'll see. SPY still at 669 is technically green on the day. Yeah, remember, a recession is technically defined as 2 consecutive losing GDP, negative GDP quarters. People like to say, oh, we're in a recession, and, you know, again, you got to go by the technical definition of it. So 2 consecutively negative GDP quarters. So 0.7% is getting awfully close to that. The big question is, will quarter 1 GDP be negative? I don't think so. I think some of this is probably from the shutdown and other stuff, but you know, it's hard to tell. And I don't necessarily think we're going to be negative this month. Now, the conflict moving on here is a big story. So, is the Strait closed or open? Let's talk about it. We talked about this earlier here regarding the Strait of Hormuz. Technically, it's open, but it's basically shut down. You know, like, it's open, you know. We had news earlier that an India ship got through. So we did get news earlier that an Indian ship did get through. Let me show you guys the actual news release that we had here. But yeah, so Indian government officials say that oil tanker Jag Prakash moved out from the east of the Strait of Hormuz. And so we did get news that an Indian ship got through. But for U.S. ships, it's basically closed. The insurance is the problem. When we look at the Strait, again, this is about 20 to 30 miles long right here, which is where the ships get through. It's still, even though it's 20 to 30 miles, oil tankers are big, and usually a ship goes forward, a ship goes this way, and that's the normal flow. But Iran is very close to the Strait. They have small ships that can sometimes be missed with radar, and it's just not easy to defend it. You know, we did have Hegsath yesterday and some other people saying that, you know, that maybe we're going to start escorting ships through it starting at the end of this month. But time will tell if that's accurate or not. Again, time will tell if that's accurate or not. We'll see. Again, the insurance is the aspect of it. Like, you need insurance to get ships through. You need the oil insured. And insurance companies right now are just like, nah, we're not doing that. They're like, nah, bro, we're not doing that. So, you know, an Indian ship got through, that's great, but insurance is not covering it right now. You know, I'm joking, but insurance is not covering it right now, and understandably so, I think, considering the aspects of it. You know, a ship could cost 50 to 100 million if you include the oil that's on it. Insurance doesn't want to mess with that right now. So we'll see if it gets better. Yeah, 2% of normal daily volumes. 1.9% of average levels in volume. Have you seen AI music for AI artists? Honestly, dude, as much as I hate to say this, you know, and I feel bad doing it, but there's some AI songs that are just good. Right? Like, there's some AI songs that are very, very good. Very, very good. Yeah. That is bad, I think. But I can't help listening to some of them because some of them are good, you know. It's bad. It's a big L for creativity, though, unfortunately. But I think AI is going to enwrap itself in everything, unfortunately. So, Bitcoin, again, chat, Bitcoin's still sitting up here at 72. It's kind of flat here heading into Jolts. We do have the Jolts job opening report going live at 10 a.m. today. So we do have Jolts job opening report going live at 10 a.m. We'll see what that looks like. But Bitcoin's still sitting okay at 72,000s. All right, so again, I should have given you guys another option here for this poll. What's another good poll right now? Give me some options for the poll today. Yeah, what are some good options for the poll today? Why did oil drop? Yeah, so again, look at this spike and this dump in oil here, guys. So something's going on right now. Let's see what it is. So we are seeing some movement here in markets here. Let's see what this is. Yeah, something's going on right now. Look at this dump here in markets. Wow. Guys, look at oil dump. SPY ripping here. We got to look for breaking news right now in markets. All right, so France and Italy are opening talks with Iran in hopes of securing safe Hormuz passage, according to them. So France and Italy opening talks with Iran in hope of securing safe Hormuz passage, according to the Financial Times, chat. So this is what's going on right here. France and Italy opening talks with Iran in hopes of securing safe passage. This is what's driving oil down and the SPY up some here. France and Italy opening talks with Iran in hopes of securing a safe Hormuz passage. So we'll see if we get some de-escalation in the conflict. Why would that drop oil? Well, I mean, I think talks getting through, regardless of whether it's United States or Italy and France, show potential optimism in the conflict, as well as, you know, less potential scarcity getting priced into oil. So that's what this is. Again, Europe is trying to diplomatically pry open the Strait of Hormuz and lower the risk premium that's just been slapped into freight and energy prices. So, you know, could potentially constructive talks with them in Iran. You know, it makes sense that it's pushing oil down and the market higher. So, signal of a European diplomatic track with Iran. If France is already pushing for it, so this is also kind of downside protection for energy. It says France is assembling a coalition naval presence and a signal of willingness to escort tankers once fighting cools. So talks with Iran are the political complement to that. See if it holds. All right, guys. Again, SPY up to 670s right now. 670s. But that is what's going on right now. France and Italy opening talks with Iran in the hope of securing a Strait of Hormuz passage, according to the Financial Times. Decreasing the price of oil. Look at Bitcoin here too, man. Bitcoin just jumped. Almost 73,000 for Bitcoin here. So Bitcoin's moving up right now. Also, guys, Apex, just to check out Apex. Apex currently still has their 85 to 90% off sale going on right now. So you can use Apex as well. Cheapest accounts of the game. You can get one for like under 30 bucks for the base one. They now have an end of day option and more. Again, so they're currently doing 85 to 90% off still. If you want to check out Apex and help support the channel, you can go to this link right here. Use coupon code BT or BG. There's the link. Check it out. Remember, guys, not an investment professional. We are not liable if you lose money. Always make your own assessment. Trade smart. I can't guarantee anything, guys. Understand all this stuff on screen. Can't guarantee anything. We are not investment professionals here. We're not liable if you lose money. And, yeah, always make your own trades. Trade smart. We can't do anything to, you know, give you financial advice. Nothing like that is here. And, yeah, we appreciate the love. Thanks so much, guys. Oil now up to 93.5s, 93.4s here. So oil starting to rebound them, starting to rebound some here. SPY is now giving it back some. Dude, honestly, I genuinely hate that. All these sites now make you pay for them. It's nonsense. Oil going up to 93.30s here. SPY back down. Yeah, so France and Italy are engaging Tehran to secure safe passage for their ships through the strait, which has been heavily disrupted. Iran has signaled it is selectively allowing some countries' vessels through and has floated conditions for broader safety passages, including political demands such as distancing from U.S.-Israel military action or even expelling U.S.-Israeli ambassadors. Data from PCE was flat. So PCE data was flat. Month to month as well as year over year for core PCE was flat. The only one that was outside of expected was headline PCE year over year. I think it came in at 2.8 versus 2.9% expected. The big bad sign here though was GDP data, which showed up at 0.7% versus 1.4%. So GDP data was revised down. You know. Yeah, so GDP data was revised down to 0.7% versus 1.4% expected here. So that wasn't good here. That's not good. Yeah, unfortunately on this account, like I was trying to pass this Lucid account here, and I ended up making too much apparently. I went for it all in one day. I'm going to buy this dip. We got a pretty large dip here. We're just going to swing for it here. This is a challenge account, by the way, so if I pass this test, they fund me. But I don't know what my profit target is now, so we're just going to swing for the fences. We got a couple of these accounts that we can use, but I'm going to keep adding to this here. We ended up spiking up and then dipping back down. We'll see if we can keep popping back higher here, though, but can't remember what the max size I can take here. We're dipping into some resistance here. This is the NASDAQ that I'm trading here. I'm going to give it a chance to maybe pop higher. We can maybe start trending up here. All the volume flows are really down here. You can see the volume profile. Like, look at all the volume here. So. I always swing way too hard on these challenge accounts, so I'm going to cut this and wait now. But I always swing way too hard, dude. I don't know why. I got to be a little bit more patient with this stuff, I think. FAA adopts. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Oil just jumping back higher here, though. Look at oil. The oil at 93.60s right now. Popped up there. These challenge accounts are fun to gamble with. That's probably true. If it's a funded account, I'm usually a lot more careful. But a challenge account, I'm like, you know. Oil is jumping up, though, here. Look at oil. So oil filling the entire gap down. Again, the story over the last few minutes is that France and Italy are opening talks with Iran in hopes of securing a Strait of Hormuz passage. This was released about 10 minutes ago. From that release, oil fell down. NASDAQ pushed higher. And so that is the big story right now. But we've kind of gave back the entire move here on this gap. Here's the SPY on the right. Oil filling the gap to the upside. Macron says U.S. sanction waivers on Russian oil products are temporary and limited. Italy's industry minister says crisis in the Middle East risks causing supply disruptions for raw minerals, they say. Yeah, again, the president said earlier that U.S. could escort vessels through if it was necessary, but warned that Iran would be hit very hard in the next week. They probably just said they are getting involved in the, like India did. All right, so we did jump in here. We're gonna see if we can continue this. And then again, this is a lucid. What is this? This is a lucid flex. We're gonna see if we can keep pushing up. I'll probably wait for the opening bell. And the Jolts job report drops 30 minutes after the bell too, though. So I think it's possible we get choppiness at the bell waiting for the Jolts report. So the Jolts job report does go live at 10 o'clock today, guys. So stick around because we do have the Jolts job report in about an hour. A lot of people think that's going to be the biggest, most influential report of the day here regarding Jolts. Is the music too high? Let me know, guys. Is the music too loud? Oh, no. Okay. We'll give it some time. Market's kind of stabilizing here. We do have the 8 or the 9 a.m. scrum going live soon. See, here's the problem. We got some people saying music's always too loud. Some people saying it's perfect. And then some people saying, what music? Okay, I think it kind of shows you can't make everybody happy. If you disagree with whatever the music's at, I'm sorry, guys. You know. Yeah, Bitcoin up to almost 73,000 here. Here's 73,000, 72 nines for Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is pushing up. Yeah, the music goes down as I start speaking here. So like if I stop speaking, we're gonna liquidate a piece of this here. Now we're basically flat on the day. Bring back the piano tunes. Somebody said, explain. David said, explain why the most powerful military or powerful navy in the world can't control the Strait of Hormuz. It's 20 to 30 miles long. You want to know why? Is because Iran is right here, brother. You know? And so they might not be able to beat our military. But what they are able to do is control the little strait. The strait being small benefits them. Why does it benefit them? It's because oil tankers are big, brother. They are big. They have to get through. You know how easy of a target that is? If it's only 20 to 30 miles long or wide. It's not very large. Again, they might not be able to beat our military tit for tat, but ships are big targets. And, you know. And slow. Right. Exactly. NASDAQ is basically flat here, though. Oil's starting to fill the gap, but we'll see if we get better movement at the opening bell in 30 minutes. Yeah, so Adobe said on Friday it will pay $75 million to the U.S. government to resolve a lawsuit accusing Photoshop and Acrobat makers of harming consumers by concealing hefty termination fees in most of its popular subscription plans. We're We are starting to creep up here. There we go. Gonna start liquidating some of this. Maybe make a better swing for it at the open. Again, this is trading a Lucid account, but one of the nice things about Lucid is that it does have a direct-to-funding option. The Lucid does have a direct-to-funding option here. That's probably one of the better things about them. You can get direct-to-funded on Lucid. You can also use Take Profit Trader, coupon code BG at Take Profit. Some of the most relaxed rules in funding in the game. So whichever one you like, check them out. Is lower GDP better for lowering interest rates? Yes, mister. So weaker GDP means, okay, so the Fed, I always explain this, but I'll do it again. The Fed's job is to maintain balance between inflation risks and weak labor and GDP and jobs data, basically. Weak economics. So if the economy gets too weak, the Fed can stimulate the economy. They have more of a green light to stimulate the economy as long as inflation is under control. And so the weaker GDP is, the more of a green light the Fed has to cut interest rates to a certain extent. The weaker jobs are, the Fed has more green light to cut interest rates, because by lowering interest rates, you stimulate the economy. People tend to spend more when they have cheaper access to leverage and money through lower interest rates. Businesses tend to expand more when interest rates are lower because they can expand and hire more people and, cheaper leverage. People tend to spend more, all that stuff. So that contributes to economic growth. The lower interest rates are, the more it contributes to economic growth. Now, on the other end of that, if inflation's a big risk, like oil has been pumping up right now, and yields are still net up from this conflict. Like, yields are down here from GDP data, but they're still up a lot. Like, here's a monthly chart. This is when the conflict started. Here is when the conflict started. And so yields, because of the rises in the price of oil causing inflation worries. Look at the market jump here, though. Hold on, guys. Look at oil jump. NASDAQ dip. Let me make sure nothing else came out. But point is, since this conflict started, yields are up because higher interest rate sentiment from high inflation worries from the price of oil being up so much. Saudi Arabia is cutting oil output by at least 2 million barrels per day to around 8 million BPD, according to sources. Yeah, the only news I'm seeing that's recent, I see two things. I see Saudi Arabia is cutting oil output by at least 2 million barrels per day to around 8 million BPD, according to sources. That could be making oil pop a little bit here. But yeah, looking at yields. Yields are up from this report. Oil being up so much. We're going to see it reflected next month specifically, though. The big inflation report that we get coming out soon is going to be in about a month from now. It's going to be the report that we get in April for this month in March, because oil prices have gone up dramatically since this conflict started. Here's March 1st. And here is the price of oil, which is going to cause inflation. And so it'll be really interesting to see what the March report shows, depending on what happens for the rest of this month, as long as oil stays elevated. Oh, what recently popped oil on a short-term perspective is this. All right, guys, remember, Jolts job opening report, 10 a.m. All right, guys. So, oil, NASDAQ, we are going to be day trading live at the opening bell. But Jolts is the big story now. Yeah, the Jolts job report is going to be the next big thing here. See what we get. We had a lot of data released at 8:30, but the big influential data, I think, is going to be the Jolts report. All right, guys. And NASDAQ still kind of undecided up here, chopping sideways. I'll put a timer up now for the Jolts report. Much time we have? We have there's the Jolts timer right here. If you see it, just a weatherman. We got the Jolts job report going live at 10 o'clock today. Jolts job openings. Now, don't get it wrong. Higher Jolts is stronger. Lower Jolts is weaker. This is basically hirings. Now, in this report will also be quits. So we get hirings and quits at 10 o'clock today from the Jolts job opening report. So we'll get another look at the labor market. But the other big news that we had drop over the last 5 minutes was that Saudi Arabia is cutting oil output by at least 2 million BPD to around 8 million barrels per day. NASDAQ dipping, SPY dipping, short term, heading into the open. Do you think Palantir is in a bear market or just a correction? Isn't Palantir doing good from this conflict, though? Yeah, Palantir... Here's a 10-day chart for Palantir. So Palantir's actually up a lot from this conflict. It has defense contracts and stuff, so moves in defense is going to make Palantir go higher. Nvidia, kind of flat though, but Palantir's doing okay. Broader, obviously, Palantir's still down from its highs up there at over 200 though. So it just depends. Palantir's PE ratio is really high, so markets might be just getting priced into that. All right, chat. Also, Tesla. I mean, I think Tesla's getting more into AI and robotics versus cars. But they're volatile, though, lately as well. So we'll have to see what that looks like. See how well they execute that. I think, obviously, there's more potential scale in AI and robotics if they execute it correctly. But there's more risk as well. So NASDAQ fading back down, so I'm heading into the opening bell in 20 minutes. Everybody here's an expert? Yeah, man, listen, the chat's all 7-foot-tall billionaires. You guys know. Might start to buy this dip here, though. All right, we'll try. Start small, head large, see if we continue the upward trend here. Okay, good. Take a little bit off there. $7.1. I believe that. I believe that. Yeah. Like I always say, guys, you might not be able to tell, but I'm about 8 feet tall right here. I'm not going to stand up and show you because that would just be kind of petty, but, we're here, Let's see if we can get over 650s, 660s. There we go. As I say that, we do. Start to unload on this bounce. Get out the rest right here. I think we're actually green on the day. Somehow we're net green after that. After that earlier. Inverse the chat. All right, guys. So let's see if the Nasdaq can fight its way back up. Here's the price of oil on the right chart now. Oil's testing 94, is running into that 200 exponential here. But yeah, we got a little bit of time. We got a little bit of time until the opening bell, about 18 minutes. What did the poll say? Oh, I haven't done another poll. We'll do a bull bear poll for the open. Are you bullish or bearish for today's opening bell, guys? Let me know. What's your favorite stock to buy? You can put that in chat as well. Yeah, let me know your favorite stock to buy. Nasdaq is starting to bounce. Maybe I should have held it. Iran is allowing Turkish ships through the Strait of Hormuz, apparently. They allowed a Turkish-owned ship to pass through the strait after negotiations, according to a Turkish minister. The transport minister said the vessel was permitted to transit because it had used an Iranian port. He added that 14 more Turkish ships remain in the area, while India has also held talks with Iran to secure safe passage for its vessels as well. But Saudi Arabia has cut oil production by about 20% to roughly 8 million barrels per day amid the Strait of Hormuz disruptions. Also, speaking of 8 feet tall here. Let me see which one this is. Hold on. Yeah, okay. I gotta turn the music down here. It's too loud, but... music's too loud, so I'll turn it down here. But speaking of 8 feet tall, you guys can watch me beat Carol at ping pong. Turn the music all the way down. Yeah, but listen, I am like Forrest Gump here in ping pong. And I look like I'm 8 feet tall next to Carol here. I'm like Forrest Gump 2.0, they say. Probably. You know? Forrest Gump 2.0. I'm Johnny Supreme, they say. Carol hit me with the ping pong here. Alright, guys. We'll put the music back on. Market's chopping sideways leading into the opening bell today. Oil down to $93 a barrel this morning. Yeah, so again, Turkey's transport minister said Iran was allowed a Turkish-owned bulk carrier to exit the strait. So a ship there did get through. Looking at our poll, we asked people, are you bullish or bearish? 56% bulls this morning, 44% bears. Yeah, it was a Turkish-owned bulk carrier was what got through. Turkish-owned bulk carrier. Look at that yields here. Yields are kind of pushing back higher right now, though. Slightly higher. I mean, they're still net down from the GDP report. But, they've kind of rebounded some here if we take a look at yields. SPY pushes to 676. Yeah, here's oil. Here's the SPY on the right. If it holds. I'm waiting. I think the NASDAQ start to push. Jolts job openings at 10 o'clock today, guys, in about 40 minutes. Full spectrum 660s. John, we're going up, bud. I hope so, man. I hope so. I want us to go up. It's not like I want the market to go down. I hope we do. All right, all right. Let's be serious here, guys. We got 10 minutes left. 10 minutes. If they convert one more Toys R Us into a pickleball place, I'm going to lose it. I was kind of disappointed. At the mall close to me, they were like, we're reopening Toys R Us. And so I got really excited. Because I'm like, Toys R Us, you know. I might be in my 30s. But, you know, great memories of Toys R Us as a kid. Great memories. My parents never really took me there because it was too expensive. But I always wanted to go. And so the mall was like, hey, we're opening up a Toys R Us. And I'm like, okay, great. I'm going to go bring my kids now. And let them see it. Dude, I go to this store. This store is like 10 by 10 feet. All it's got is stuffed animals. No toys, really. It's like a Toys R Us for 3-year-olds, is basically what it was. Like, disappointed. Gimmicky, some would even say. I'm still upset about it. This was like 2 months ago, 3 months ago. I'm still mad. Wasting my time over here. Wasting my time. NASDAQ again at 24,670s, 24,680s. All right, so the UK MTO says incident 11 north miles or 11 NM north of Oman in the Strait of Hormuz. I am seeing news about that just releasing here. Kramer also said that he's not buying the 2007 scenario. So Kramer's a bull, is what I'm assuming he's saying here. He said he's not buying the 2007 scenario, Jim Cramer. Uh-oh. Inverse Kramer. Yeah, does that mean we're going down here? Is the question. It's possible. It's possible. Oil back over 94 a barrel. Again, if we look at Brent crude today, guys, Brent crude is the worldwide standard of oil versus West Texas Intermediate WTI crude, CL futures crude, which is kind of like US based oil. But Brent crude, $99 a barrel still. Again, here's Brent, $99 a barrel, $99.17 a barrel technically. And we do have the Jolts job opening report today. So Jolts job opening report going live today. Be ready. Be ready. This is heading into next week where we have PPI inflation. We have GTC NVIDIA conference. We have GTC NVIDIA FOMC meeting, PPI inflation data, and more next week. So not a small week either next week. It's pretty busy. And during the FOMC meeting, we will have the summary of economic projections, what's called the dot plot, the dot plot and summary of economic projections. The dot plot just shows where each Fed member voted in terms of how many rate cuts we'll get this year and stuff like that. So we'll see what that looks like. And this is all with the big conflict going on right now. NASDAQ, oil, mostly flat. Both of them kind of have higher lows here, though, heading into the opening bell in about 7 minutes. So red and green on NVIDIA today. I'm not sure. We'll see. There's also about a 30% chance we hit a recession this year, according to odds makers. So that's a good question for the chat. Will we enter a recession this year? About 30% likely, according to Polymarket, I believe. Who's Crazy Ralph? Oil testing 120s. I remember KB Toys. I remember EB, Electronics Boutique, as well. KB Toys was like early 90s, though. I remember it vaguely. Yeah, Bitcoin, one of the big winners of the day. Bitcoin over 73,000 as we speak here. Look at Bitcoin. 73 ones here. 73 ones. Still pushing up. Probably said March out big before the flush. Is Adobe a good buy? We talked about this earlier. I don't know, man. I think AI is eating their lunch to a certain extent, and I think that's already why they're down big. Now with the CEO stepping down, there's more concerns. So there's more concerns now with the CEO stepping down is what's going on. But they are down a lot. They were at $700 in 2021. It's like $699s, but they're at 250s now, so they're down a lot. Does their business continue to dwindle with AI? I guess growth is the story here with Adobe, and maybe, but you also could argue it's cheap down here as well. So all right, chat. 5 minutes left. 5 minutes. See Bitcoin. Look at a NASDAQ dip here. Let me see what oil's doing here. Look at the NASDAQ pullback. Oil's kind of dipping with it, though. The Lebanese army said Israeli aircraft dropped leaflets with QR codes over Beirut linking. Oh. Jim Cramer said he's not buying the 2007, 2008 scenario. Are you guys? Is this a 2007, 2008 scenario? There's obviously mirroring looks here between it and now, but we'll see if the private credit worries spike some of this dynamic here is what it is. Let's see if the private credit fears drive this. See, no. Much worse than 2008 and 1929 combined. I don't know, man. I didn't think so until you said that about Kramer. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Adobe subscriptions come with built-in AI tools, so I feel like they're not going anywhere. Sure, but You know how easy it is to make a thumbnail right now with AI? So even if it's easier to use Adobe, a lot of people are not going to anyway, still because of AI. And so yeah, what's up, Sam? Yeah, we'll see, guys. We'll see. We will see. Metal's in a precarious spot. NASDAQ down, oil popping a little bit, but it's pretty small, things considered. Silver sitting at 84.3s right now. Open big bell is at about a minute and a half here, Chad. A minute and a half. Gold at 5100s, pulling back from the 52s that was seen earlier this week and last week. The question is, does oil run and does the NASDAQ dip? If we continue to see escalations, here's the NASDAQ on the right. We'll put oil up on the, or NASDAQ on the left, oil is on the right. U.S. President tells Fox he believed the Iran leader is alive but damaged, is what he just said. We have about a minute left until the opening bell, guys. Let's do this. Let's see what we get today. Good luck at the opening bell, guys. Looking at our poll, 63% are bullish into the opening bell out of about 400 votes. 38% are bearish here today. Here we go. Opening bell in about a minute. I think my timer's actually a little bit. Timer's a little bit there we go. That's about right for the Jolts job report. Hey, good luck, Farmer. IC, Pepsi, K, David, Guy, Meat, Drizzy, Sam, Snake, Max, Ruben, Sigma, BT, PP, Lunar, 123, Joseph, Tariq. Hey, good luck, guys. Yair. NASDAQ is dipping down into the opening bell, though. Here's the 200 exponential right here. We'll see if we can play off of that. But we have about 5 seconds left here. If it's late, hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed. And remember, we do have the Jolts report going live at 10 a.m. There's the opening bell here today, guys. There's the open. NASDAQ bouncing a little bit at the 200 exponential so far. Oil is down. We're going to look at NVIDIA here, see what NVIDIA is doing. NVIDIA is jumping up some at the opening bell here today. NVIDIA is moving up slightly so far. But it doesn't mean anything. It's still pretty early, in all honesty here, guys. Still pretty early. So, pretty early so far. All right, so NASDAQ went up, and now NVIDIA is starting to head back down here today. So Adobe is one of the big stories. It's at 250 right now, kind of chopping sideways. S&P is up to 670s though. This is mostly driven by, it looks like, NVIDIA is driving it some here, at least a little bit. Alphabet's kind of flat though. Meta down. Amazon's down. Netflix is up though. So some Mag 7 stocks moving up, some Mag 7 stocks moving down at the opening bell. We could have chop leading into the Jolts job opening report as well. Remember, Jolts job opening report goes live in about 30 minutes here today, guys, for Jolts. So Jolts is going live in about 30 minutes. Not a small report either today for the Jolts job report. It's not small. There'll be a pump and dump today. We're going to get ready to trade, but I have to wait at least 4 or 5 minutes until this plays out first. Kramer said it's not a 2007 scenario, which might be the biggest bear call, bear signal we've seen. I'm not doing anything yet. We kind of, I'm looking for the orb opening range breakout. Is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for an orb, and so I gotta kind of wait for that as well. Brent though, if we take a look at crude here, Brent crude's back up to 99.5s, but yeah, we have not just Jolts, but we have the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report. Jolts expected at 6.7 million. So Jolts expected 6.7 million today. Here we go. So we put that up. Bitcoin's still rising here though. So Bitcoin is up to 73 threes here. 73 threes. Kind of a flat open here though, guys. We're gonna look for an orb opening range breakout here. Is what we're looking for. All right, look, here's the orb setup that we see on the NASDAQ here right now. So orb is setting up. Got a big spike though in the NASDAQ. Here's the SPY itself on the right, 670s. We got an opening range here. Gotta wait for this. Yeah, all good, Sam. Bearish on indices, but bullish on crypto. Yeah, bullish on crypto, I think today in this market makes sense, but we have this orb range here. So we're looking at this opening range. And we also have the 200 exponential holding the bottom of this orb right now. So I don't usually take slower orbs, but or shorter term orbs, but we got a tight 5-minute range that we're going to be watching for at this point. We break underneath it. Q's breaking under 600s. NASDAQ is breaking under the 200 exponential. So we're watching for that type of move here now. Alphabet's also starting to pull back down. If you look at Google here, 305s right now for Google. Look at this dump. Might pull the market down if we don't have some upward movements in other Mag 7. Although Netflix is higher here. Meta's down. Amazon's down. Microsoft's down. Okay, so we have a 5-minute orb that we can look at. It's a little bit more risky, but hey, we might play with it if we get it. $200 exponential being there makes it a little bit more interesting too. So we're watching for this here. Watching for this to break. It is Friday though, chat. Remember, all right, there's the breakdown underneath it. All right, so we just cracked underneath that level here. I'm not gonna just jump in short. I have to look for a retest. But there's the crack. I'll short this retest right here. We'll take 3. There we go. Start to cover. Cover. Hold the rest, add to it if it continues to break down. Yeah, there we go. And we'll cover the rest right there. Maybe add back if it pops back higher here. Alright, we'll take 1 and then add to this now. 2. We're gonna leave it at 2 though. I'm not gonna add more to this. That pop-up's too much. I'm gonna cut it right there. It might reject, but we made money on it. We'll give it a second now. Yeah, the Jolts job opening report does go live. 10 a.m. Oh, it is Friday the 13th today. All right, so now that we're past the 5-minute orb, we're going to pivot to a 10-minute one, which should be here. Unless we rip up over the next 2 minutes over this level, which is possible. Yeah, I got out right where I should have, I think, here, which is good. But we had news earlier that JP Morgan thinks the oil supply shut-ins may hit 12 million barrels per day, and that global oil production shut-ins could surge to 12 million over the next week as shipping disruptions continue. Yeah, so we do have a US-China meet, NVIDIA, GTC, FOMC decisions, Bank of Japan, Bank of England, ECB, and more. So a lot of Fed meetings next week. We have the China Geneva meetup. We've got NVIDIA's GTC event on Monday with the keynote on Monday and more next week. So we'll see what happens. All right, we're starting to creep up. We're about 9 minutes into the opening bell here, guys. 9 minutes into the open. The Jolts report is in about 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Higher or lower jobs for Jolts? Chad, higher or lower? What do you guys think? I do see Microsoft starting to rebound higher here. Lower, lower, lower. Most people think lower jobs, and I think that makes sense after last time we got a very weak jobs report at negative 92,000 for the official jobs report on Friday last week. So last week we got a really bad jobs report. We'll see what this week's jobs report looks like though, with the Jolts report in 20 minutes. Looks like most people say lower in the chat. All right, guys, so we're about 10 minutes into the day now. About 10 minutes. Here's a big question. Are you guys red or green this week so far? Red or green? Let me know red and green what got you there. But we got the Jolts report in 20 minutes. Green, red, red. I see a lot of greens in chat, though. A lot of greens in chat. Green, 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 red. Yeah. All right, so we have this 10-minute opening range. The longer this goes on, I will look for a 15-minute one, though, if we get a good setup here. So I will look for a 15-minute one. We'll see. The Jolts report at 10 o'clock, though, is interesting. After a really weak jobs report. Jolts report, again, the Jolts report expected at 6.7 million. So we are testing the top of this range here. Microsoft has rebounded all the way back up. Amazon started to push back up as well. Alphabet's still down, but it's starting to fight its way back up somewhat, at least. NVIDIA is kind of choppy. Went all the way up to 186 at the open, and it's back down to 185s right now. So we're just waiting for this range to break. I don't know. Crypto is one of the big things that's pushed up here. So, like, look at that trading view. You know, we're still looking for this orb. But Bitcoin has popped all the way up to 73,000 here. So, again, here's the orb that we're looking for on the left side. But look at Bitcoin on the right side. So Bitcoin has made some runs. Alright, so we just broke the orb. Look at this. It's a 15-minute one. But we also could get a... I'll look for a pullback here, like this, which is what worked earlier. So we'll buy this dip. Kind of heavy here. There we go. We're green. Looks like it wants to go up. We'll take... There we go. That's what we want to see. We were waiting for the 10-minute one. We're out of 2/3 of the position here. We'll let the rest sit. Nice push here. Nice push. There we go. All right. We're kind of selling into this pressure now. There we go. I'm going to sell some of this on this and maybe buy a pullback here. We have this resistance level right there, but the level we talked about earlier, this little peak right here has a lot of people staring at it if you notice that. So again, we are trading on Lucid's funded account program. They give you a demo, they test your skill with it. You pass the test, they fund you. You fail, you only lose what you pay for it. In this case, the base one is under $100. If you use my coupon code, you get 50% off. You can also go direct to funded. It's $238 if you use my coupon code BT on there. Great way to help support the channel. Most day traders lose money, so funding your own account thousands of dollars doesn't make sense to me. Great way to learn. I'm biased though, I get paid by them, but genuinely useful for traders. NASDAQ just pushed up here. NASDAQ just pushed up. Here's the link if you want to check it out. NASDAQ pushed up 750s on the NASDAQ here, 750s. That 10-minute orb worked. And if you see my script here for the 10-minute one, you can back test it, and it's not too bad. Like, look at the 10-minute one right here. Look at the signal right there, which is really right around when we got in. And look at that big follow through on the upside here. So, Bitcoin back up to 73.20s. See what the Jolts job report shows. Yeah, look at this move here, man. Wow. $773s now is the top. 15 minutes here, chat. 15 minutes for the Jolts report. Yeah, we're still pushing up here. We hit 775. This level might be a resistance level here, though. We'll see. We have 800 up here as well. That could... This level here. All right, so there's 800 right here. On the NASDAQ, still just flushing, or still just ripping up here. Is oil going down simultaneously? No. Okay. Nvidia's getting close to highs of the day here, is what this is. So there's 800s. We're over that now. Wow. The 10-minute opening range breakout, guys. Crazy useful. Crazy useful. Look at that breaking news. The UAE state minister says Iran must halt attacks on neighbors to allow diplomacy, and they said mediation can only happen when conflict stops. Diplomacy will end the conflict. The president will lead us all to that moment in time, says UAE state minister. Remember, the 24.8 level is right here. So, we got a little bit over it, but Also, Alphabet's doing a red to green move. It's starting to push back higher here as well. Yeah, I mean, we can see the push-ups happening here. And like to understand volume profile here, guys, just so you guys can kind of understand how to look at some of these charts here. How do I scroll? I want to consolidate the chart. How do I do that? Okay, zoom in. Yeah, just to understand some of this volume profile. As you start to move away, like here's the big chunk, right? This is when it's going to be the most choppy a lot of the times, is this area here, right? Once we start to move out of that, that's when we can start to trend, and you can kind of see that reflected in the price here. Like once we get out of this choppy area where we're going to, you know, that's when we start to trend. And so that's what you see here on this chart as well. We did reject at 24,800s here, and we have 11 minutes left until the Jolts report, guys. 11 minutes left. So again, make sure you're ready because the Jolts report releases at 10 o'clock this morning in 11 minutes. 11 minutes for the Jolts job opening report. So we got another report today. We've already had a busy day of reports here. We had PCE flat. We had PCE flat. We had GDP get revised down 50% versus the expected 1.4%. We showed up at 0.7% today. So heading into this report is relevant. We'll see what happens in 11 minutes, 10 minutes. Oil starting to head higher. It's over 94 a barrel for WTI crude. Is this dip worth buying? Oil, $94 a barrel here. NASDAQ dipped down exactly at that 24,800 level. So remember, we talked about this level right here, and that's where we pulled back. It doesn't mean it's going to hold underneath it, but whole dollar numbers do influence markets here. Like just to put this into perspective, the top of this range, if we take a look at it, was 24,700s. Like look at the top here, 24,700s. 24,800s is right here. 600 is below us, of course, but where did we stop? We stopped at 24,800s. We talked about it before this move happened on the downside. Nvidia's starting to retrace as well here, though. Look at Nvidia. So a lot of this pullback is happening from Nvidia dipping back down. Look at Nvidia come all the way back down to 184.70s here. So yeah, I am a... There we go. 10 minutes. Where'd the bears go? Honestly, the bears are showing up right now. Specifically on Nvidia. Don't do what? All right, chat. 8 minutes. Who's gonna win this battle? Bulls or Bears? We did buy this dip here, guys. Let's see if it works out. We took 9 contracts here, basically a full mini contract. I'm going to unload a third of it up here. I'm going to unload another third of it up here. Kind of unloading on this bounce. I'll cover some more. We have 2 left. We'll let the rest ride, I think, here. Probably hold this break even unless it continues to push higher here. It is. There we go. Pick another piece off there, let the rest ride back up. 7 minutes left. Bears are gonna win. Yeah, the news is what could influence this, of course. So we'll see if it does. I'm gonna add back size here into this big fast retracement. See if we push back higher here. There we go. We are ahead of the Jolts report, so we might get whippy, more whippy price action. But there we go. That's exactly what we wanted. There we go. Gotta get in and out quickly here on this bounce back. Alright. Alright, so Jim Cramer says a diplomatic solution could be in the works or a separate peace. Dubai residents get a threat alert. Back-channel talks with Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz have begun, but are unlikely to succeed, according to people familiar with discussions cited by Bloomberg. Mediation efforts are led by Saudi, Oman, and Turkey, with support from European nations, including France and Italy. Qatar has stepped back after repeated attacks. But we'll see if we get some de-escalation and everything going on right now. Five minutes left, chat. 5 minutes. For the Jolts job opening report going live in about 5 minutes here. We're pushing back up to highs around 800s here. Here's 800s. I don't really like attacking the retest of this, though. So... Okay, so the Pentagon is apparently weighing sending more ships to escort tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. So, weighing more warships to escort tankers through the Strait, according to the Pentagon. They're weighing sending them. 4 minutes here, chat. 4 minutes. We have the Jolts job report coming in, expected today at 6.7 to 6.6 million. We have quits coming out today from Jolts. The Jolt job quits, which is exactly what it sounds like. Job openings is job hirings or expansion, just to put this into perspective. Quits is what it sounds like. It's quits. Michigan inflation expectations, consumer sentiment, current conditions, and more comes out as well in about 4 minutes here. Guys, about 4 minutes. So hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed. And let's see what we get today for Jolts. Job report coming live in 4 minutes. Yeah, so we're seeing volume come in now, which means, you know, the buyers or sellers are kind of starting to get neutral here. You can see this volume is what Sam's talking about right here on the volume profile. And again, the price actually kind of confirms it with up and down here. So I would say that's a range to watch. See if we break out of this. Or break below it. We're starting to pull back some here in the NASDAQ. But again, this is after reports that the U.S. Pentagon reportedly mulling sending more warships to escort tankers through the Strait of Hormuz today. So, Jolt's job report goes live in 3 minutes here, guys. 3 minutes. Hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed and subscribe if you haven't yet. We cover this live every single weekday morning right here for free. In 3 minutes, we get Jolts job openings, which includes quits and more. So stick around. All right, guys. Bitcoin, on the other hand, is still sitting. Where's Bitcoin at? Yeah, Bitcoin's still up to 73.5s right now with about 2 minutes left. 73.5s. Here we go, guys. Remember, Jolts job openings going live in about 2 minutes now. 2 minutes. Here we go. A minute and a half. We have a little level in the volume profile, though. If you look at this, like, we have a level here. So we have some movement. Maybe, like, if we break underneath this clean channel, you know, we might have a little path towards here before we get more chop. But I have to wait. We got the Jolts report going live in about a minute and 10. Minute and 10. Okay, guys. I'm going to take this off and just watch. We're going to watch the NASDAQ and we're going to watch the S&P here. Here's the E-mini S&P on the right. Here's the NASDAQ on the left today, guys, heading into this report. We have 1 minute left. Just make sure you hit the live button next to the play button and you put it in 2x speed. Because, again, we have about a minute left. Last minute predictions. High, low, quits, high, low. Let me know. Last time quits showed up at what? What did they show up last time for quits? We have Michigan consumer sentiment as well. Last time quits showed up higher than expected at 3.2 million. Here we go. 30 seconds, chat. 30 seconds. Be ready today, guys. Jolts going live in about 25 seconds. 25 seconds. Be ready. Here we go. About 10 seconds left. 10 seconds. Hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed. This is a little bit early. This browser timer's a little bit early. But 5 seconds here, guys. 5 seconds. All right, guys. Here's the Jolts report going live right now. Okay, guys. Michigan consumer Jolts showed up higher than expected. 6.946 million. 6.946 million for Jolts job openings. Higher than 6.7 million expected. Michigan consumer sentiment showed up higher than expected as well at 55.5 versus 55 expected. So higher than expected Jolts job openings. Higher than expected Michigan consumer sentiment. But inflation expectations basically stayed the same for the Michigan consumer sentiment data. We're going to dig deeper into this report. But the Jolts report did show up higher than expected at 6.946 million, guys. 6.946 million. We're still waiting on quits. But 6.94 million. Quits did show up at 3.1 million, lower than last time and lower than expected here. So stronger jobs numbers than expected. Stronger jobs reports than expected. And we'll see if this holds. But yeah, markets are so far reacting positively to this report. This might make yields fall back down here. Again, this might make yields fall back down. Job openings showed up better than expected at 6.7 million expected. We ended up showing up. I'll put it on the screen right now. At 6.946 million. And quits showed up at 3.1 million, lower than the previous number as well for quits. So again, higher Jolts numbers, lower quits. And yeah. Markets are kind of unchanged from this report, though. We're not really moving a ton here, but there's quits on the screen. We're going to look to trade this here some today as well. My target on this Lucid account. All right. Jolts strength. So jobs report showed stronger than expected. Lower quits, more hirings and lower quits. Yeah, GDP for quarter 4 was weak, but it's also after the last job report from the official report showed up at negative 92,000. NASDAQ's actually starting to come down. So is the S&P 500 here after this report. So we are starting to dip some here on this. Still falling here after this report. I'm sure yields are going to be going up probably on this report. I mean, yields are probably going to be popping higher here because stronger jobs report shows less need to cut interest rates, although yields are kind of unchanged from this report as well. They're up some, but not a ton. All right, Nasdaq's falling, S&P falling down here after this report, guys. Again, University of Michigan consumer sentiment was basically the same, with inflation expectations basically the same as well. But again, Powell expected to warn of inflation and labor risks, stagflation risks ahead of the March meeting, according to Bank of America. Summary of economic projections is expected to show higher headline and core inflation, longer run growth and rate projections ticking up. Powell's probably going to signal a cautious approach. Look at the Nasdaq fall here after this report, though. So we got a little bit of a delayed reaction to it, but the Nasdaq is net down here in this report. Hirings were a little unchanged here, but look at the Nasdaq dip. Should I buy this here? We're gonna buy small into this level here. There we go. Man, dude, we're just getting immediate reactions. We're using a mix of opening range, support and resistance, and volume profile to catch some of these moves, but we got to immediately jump, an immediate jump back up here. Just gonna sit this, let this work some here, I think. No. All right, I'm gonna unload this right here, I think, too. So, not too bad here. Not too bad. We're very green on the day now. Nasdaq fighting its way higher here. Oil still urging, or pushing up some as well. $95 I think makes sense. It's right around the VWAP as well for oil. Bitcoin is like, yeah, I'm different. Yeah, today it definitely is, man. Yeah, look. Here's Bitcoin right here. Here's the orb setup that we got earlier. Look at that orb breakout here. Still really nice, really nice. But look at Bitcoin. 73.5s today, man. That's a big move up. Look at this move on Bitcoin. More job openings is not good if you've got no one to fill them. There's a lot of highly qualified who could. That would be too logical. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're kind of in this weird spot. I would say we could argue stagflation. I think, again, I think the most interesting report that we're going to get, outside of maybe the Fed meeting next week, is going to be, the next interesting report that we get is going to be, oops, what happened to my top screen here? What happened to my cool little browser here? What did I do with it? Oops, I took it down. But yeah, I think the most interesting report is going to be CPI next month for March this month, right? Because that's when the oil dynamic shows up. That's when the oil price increases show up and inflation, and that's what's really could cause chaotic movements. It could cause fear, depending on if the conflict drags on. it could cause a lot of different things, and I think next month is going to be really interesting for economic reports specifically. So you know, we also have NVIDIA's GTC event next week. Remember, we do have the NVIDIA GTC event next week. We do have that. So NVIDIA GTC, Fed meeting, PPI inflation, and more next week is going to make it interesting. So we're down to 24/7s here, though. Let's see if we hold. We'll give it a second, guys. We'll give it a second. Bitcoin up to 73.5s right now. The NASDAQ is continuing to break here, though. NASDAQ's coming back down to that. Look at the volume profile here. Again, we're kind of getting deeper into, you know, look at this big fair price area right here that markets might think. So, again, we could break down into this and then chop sideways once we get there, is what I'm showing. This is kind of the opening range as well. If you look at this, it's kind of the same thing as the opening range. So maybe we'll get a little support bounce heading into it, or maybe we'll continue to break down and then move choppy for the rest of the day. It is a Friday here. It is a Friday. So we will see what we get. But I'll stick around and sell and trade for a little while with you guys, though. I want to buy this here. I might buy it here, and that's it. And then if we break down, I'm going to start small, though. Look. Dude, telling you, bro. You use volume profile with, like, previous support. Dude, every time I bought today, we've pushed up so much so fast here. It's hard not to sell into this. Like, if you can make $100 in 5-10 seconds, you know. You gotta get in and out quick, though. It's kind of a scalping strategy, using volume profile to scalp it. Is what next Friday? What is the next triple witching? Oh, triple witching. Is next Friday the third Friday of the month? Yes, next Friday is triple witching on the 20th of March. March 20th, triple witching day. Triple witching day, guys, just for those that might not understand, is a day of historical volatility in which all major contract types expire same day. This includes single stock future, or this includes stock options, index options like S&P, NASDAQ options, index futures like we trade, like NASDAQ, E-mini, S&P E-mini. So single stock options, single stock index futures. And when we get back to, I think they're going to be debuting single stock futures soon. And this might grow the prop space. This might grow a lot of different spaces, and it will also make it to where we have quadruple witching day again instead of triple witching. They got rid of single stock futures not that long ago. It used to be quad because we had single stock futures, stock options, index futures, all expiring same day. But they got rid of single stock futures, and so now it's just triple. But when they bring them back, it's going to turn into quad witching again. And they're supposed to bring them back this summer. This upcoming summer here, which we're not that far away from. So I'm personally incredibly excited for that. You know, we day trade stocks here, but again, personally, I'm super excited to get involved with single stock futures. Here's AMD. Might short AMD here. Hurry up. All right, we're at 125 shares short of AMD. Looking for a flush back down here. Volatile times though here, man. Volatile times. I'm gonna take maybe 200 shares up here though. All right, we're at 200. If we can break down enough. There we go. Look at the volatility in AMD here. It took a little bit off. I want to see if we flushed out. It's just not moving as much as I want it to, so we're gonna lower our size. It's just kind of going back and forth here. I'll give it one more second and then I'm gonna cut it, to be honest. Yeah, we got out base. Oh, we got out green actually. It just retraced back down. But again, it's not really AMD. I like a longer term trade, but I also don't want to manage that type of trade. So I'm just gonna get out here. It's too choppy. We got out flat basically on that position. Yeah, look at Bitcoin here. Brent crude at $100 a barrel now as well as we speak here. So yeah, the volume profile, guys, I mean, it doesn't really look that good right now. We kind of gotten into the more choppy phase of it where buyers and sellers kind of agree on price. And so what I mean by that is we've gotten into this phase now of the volume profile, even if we're just at the top of it. But here's the 200 exponential, so we could see a follow through bounce, and maybe if we do, we'll try to jump in this right here on the long side, since you know it's a little bit better. But I think I have to wait right here. Check the breaking news here. I don't really see anything. So the president actually just spoke here, like just now. He said leadership has to find the votes on Iranian leader, probably alive in some form, but he repeats the U.S. is, quote, decimating, end quote, Iran, according to the U.S. president. So we have that news going live. Kind of choppy here. It's a Friday though, chat. So I mean, it is a Friday. Bro, the stuff people pump in chat here. Like, bro, are you really pumping up a 15-cent stock? Like, listen, guys, look, I'm not insulting anybody. Somebody's pumping this stock in the chat. Dude, look at this chart. This is the stock you're pumping, brother? This? I mean, come on now. Look, you coming here at beginner tradings, you what's the float? The float is 16 million, bro. Like like me with my 1,000 people here is not going to influence the stock, dude. Looks like it's about to rip. Maybe, bro. Hey, good luck. Good luck. I'm not mad at you. Make your money if you can. I'm not mad at it. I'm not buying it, though. S&P breaking down here. So is the NASDAQ. Giving it all back. Getting more deep into the volume, unfortunately, here. All right, so the CENTCOM did confirm all the members of the ship that was hit earlier today is down, you know, didn't make it, unfortunately. Yeah, bond prices are going to be interesting as well. NASDAQ E-mini starting to flush a little bit here. You have played pennies before pump and dump? I have, man. Listen, I have. Again, though, the problem with penny stocks is like most people make money selling courses on how to trade penny stocks versus actually trading penny stocks. In fact, a lot of the gurus around those markets, you can hear them say things like, I don't trade anymore. I just like teaching, or, you know, like whatever. Like, look, what's going to happen? And I'll give you their playbook. What's going to happen? There's two playbooks that they have. Number one, they're going to make a list of 5 to 7 penny stocks that are running big on the day, right? They're going to take the one that does the best and they're going to isolate that one, and they're going to brag about how great it did and how many of their members made money. And then they're going to ignore the other 5 or 6 that a lot of people lost money on. They're we're just not going to mention those. You know, they're going to isolate the one that did really well that people made a bunch of money for on the long side. That's their playbook number one. And then they're going to sell you a course on how to do it, which, you know, there's so much variance. There's so many circuit breaker halts and T3 halts and all this stuff that just destroy everybody's account that tries to trade them. That it's just not worth it. The other option is that they're going to buy a bunch of these. They have a big following, and so they're going to announce them to their following and try to pump it up. And then they're front loading into the move. So their following is pumping it up, and then they're unloading shares right at the peak, leaving half of their following that you just told to buy holding the losses. You know, maybe half of them might make money, the other half are going to lose. And then they're going to take the money that they made front loading their followings, pumping up their own stocks, and then they're going to take pictures of that, they're going to snapshot that, and they're going to say, look at how much money I made, look at how great I am day trading, guys, buy my course. And then they're going to sell you a course on it. Unfortunately, that's what that market is. Ask me how I know. Ask me how I know this. And trust me, I wasn't the one pumping up. I was the one losing, you know. Nvidia at 184s right now. Nvidia fighting its way back up. But again, people want to believe it's real. Why? Because people don't have very much money, usually. And so they want to believe that you can day trade penny stocks and have this big edge doing it. And I get it. Like, I get it. I'm not even... Some people might be able to do it. The ones that are usually aren't selling courses on it, though. They're not going to tell anybody how they do it. They're you know what I mean? They're just going to sit there and make money. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the E-mini. I tried AMD. Would I have made money in AMD? I think I would have here. Maybe I should have waited for this previous closing price. Might short this again on AMD, but let's try it. Maybe I'm being too greedy here in this. Take a couple hundred shares here on this bounce. See if this candle refills the gap to the downside. Scalp this little move here. We got the drop. I want to add back here. You know what? Screw it. We'll add back. There we go. Take that immediately off. We got a bounce. I didn't like this bounce here. We got a cushion on the day though now. There we go. Liquidate a lot of that down there. I'm just gonna cut it and get out this little scalp here. See what we do on the rest. I have a couple pity stocks that I drag on. I bought them before. $5K this week in paper trades. Cool story about it. Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of weirdness everywhere. I trade paper, but I'm honest about it. I don't even claim to be a good trader, but you know how it is. Like, the reason my channel got big in the first place was because when I first looked at the market, when I got into stocks, everybody's acting like a genius guru. Everybody's acting like they are just these millionaire traders that are all around. And I don't know. I thought that was kind of saturated. And so I was like, hey, why don't I tell people I suck and let people watch what it's like for a beginner doing it? And that's how I chart. That's why I started this channel. I'd like to think I progressed past the beginner. But, you know, I'm sure someone would disagree with that. Yeah, Bitcoin. Look at Bitcoin here, man. Bitcoin up to almost 74,000. Intermediate trading coming, yeah, for sure. I don't know, bro. People always think that this is like a freaking kitchen. This is an office. Like, this is my house right here. Look at that guy over there. You know? Look at that guy right there, man. That's a smart guy up there on the top here, though. That's a smart guy. You know? Look at that guy right there. There's Steve right there. Alright, hold on. There we go. Alright. I notice a lot of streamers are quick to shut down any opinion that isn't theirs. I try to welcome all opinions. I mean, if somebody makes fun of me, I might agree with you guys, you know? Only when you truly get upset do the haters or trolls win. You gotta just respond with sarcasm, you know? If you get genuinely upset, or just not respond at all, that's probably the best move. Can you do 10 push-ups? 10, dude? I don't know, man. No, I used to do I used to do a push-up per dollar donation. And one time some dude donated $300 or $400 to me, and so I had to sit there doing 300 or 400 push-ups. I could probably do like 50 in a row, but not 300, 400. I remember I stayed streaming until like 1 o'clock in the afternoon after that day, and then the push-up thing was done. I don't care how much money I make. My arms were noodles after that. Yeah, y'all are funny, man. No, I'm laughing at I'm laughing at. That's the leader of Venezuela up here. Yeah, maybe, you know. Any plan to structure the stream with news coverage in the future? What do you mean? That's what we do here already, brother. We do news coverage. Hello from Poland. What's up, Ulysses? Yeah, Bitcoin, guys. Look at it. 73.8s right now. 73.8s. I decided to stay with you guys a little bit longer because it's Friday. Hardcore news? Like hardcore rock news? Like what? I'm really having like a struggle trying to figure out what you mean by hardcore news. Chat, what does he mean by hardcore news? What could he mean here? Kitchen core? Yeah. No idea, but I like it. That sounds like a different channel altogether. Not softcore news. Alright, alright. It's Friday here, guys. I can tell. It's Friday. Alright, guys, listen. I'm going to get out of here. Apple Core. Alright. Hey, listen. If you want to help support the channel, remember, guys, I just like teaching. I just like helping people. I'm not here for money. I don't even know what money is. But if you want to check out some of my affiliates and help me make money, do it now. Check out Lucid, guys. Great way to learn. Most day traders lose money. You can check out Lucid if you like Apex. Cheapest accounts in the game. Take Profit Trader has some of the most relaxed rules in the game. If you want to use my coupon code and get the max discount, all those links are in the description right now. Go check them out. You'll see the coupon code that you use above it. I appreciate the love. Thanks so much here, guys. Peace Corps. Listen. Love to you guys. Have a great weekend. Y'all made me laugh this Friday. And I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that. Y'all have a good one. I'll see you guys next week. Remember, FOMC decision next week. Craziness could go on in markets. We got PPI inflation data and more rolling into next week here. So next week is interesting. We will see what happens next week. Y'all be safe. And yeah, we'll see what we get. It should be a fun week regardless. And yeah. FOMC week next week. Let's see what we get. Later, guys. Y'all be good. Be safe this weekend. Have a great day.